Brought to you by Precision Garage Door Service of Southeast Michigan. It's a day that ends in Y, and that means the Pistons won again. They extend their win streak to 10 straight games after a 127-112 victory over the Indiana Pacers last night. Detroit once again found a way to do it without the likes of Cade Cunningham, Asar Thompson, Tobias Harris, and Jaden Ivey. Jalen Duren led the way with 31 points and 15 boards. He was 11 of 12 from the floor, making him the first NBA player since Dwight Howard in 2010 to have 30 and 15 in a game on 92% shooting. Here's what J.B. Bickerstaff had to say about the Detroit big man. Pistons will try for another win tonight down in Atlanta at 7:30 over on WWJ News Radio 950. Here on the ticket, the Wings will take to the ice at home against the Seattle Kraken tonight. They're coming off a 2-1 win and post-game brawl with the Rangers on Sunday. At the Corewell Health Sports Desk, I'm Brendan Shabath. For more, visit 97.1 The Ticket or Odyssey.com.
Good morning on a Tuesday. Jim Costa, John Jansen, Heather Park, Gov and Greg behind the glass, Brendan Shabath on the updates. Before we get back into the Lions, part 2, following Sunday night's loss.
Good morning.
How about the Pistons? Good morning. Let's talk a little bit about them.
How about that? A hell of a night again last night. Jalen Duren returns, and what was it, 31 and 15? That's a nice stat line. I'll take that.
Sure is. Missed like one shot in the whole game.
Yeah. Who needs Cade?
10 straight wins is the longest win streak since 2008.
And you got to love every minute of it. It's been fun.
Yeah, and look, it's been a lot of suffering between 08 and now, but they've turned a corner.
They certainly have. And so when you're on a 10-game win streak, right, you're looking at it going, oh, do they just not pay attention to the Indiana Pacers? Do they think they're just going to show up? Well, they did just show up, and they showed out. And so you keep looking and you go, okay, well, when this can't, how long can this go? Is it going to go 11, 12? Like, what's the ceiling of this current win streak? And I know tonight they play down in Atlanta.
It's part of a back-to-back.
Right, and Atlanta they started off slow. They've won, 4 or 5 in a row? I didn't look specifically. I know that they're without Trae Young and have played pretty good the last couple of games. So is it tonight?
Well, I also don't know, are the Pistons getting anybody back tonight?
Right.
I mean, it's...
Yeah, is Duren going to play back-to-back since he just came back? And I would think so, especially after going 31 and 15.
Yeah.
Got to have a encore performance after that. And then it's Milwaukee, but I know Giannis went down last night. And then it's Indiana again and Boston. So, hey, let's just keep this train rocking and rolling.
I'm just listening to what JB said. I'm just living in the moment. I mean, this has been good. Look, Jalen Duren is quite the story. I know Cade is the headliner and all that stuff, but Duren has doubled up his scoring from a year ago. He's at 20 per game right now. He hit a little mid-range jumper yesterday, which really gets you going, oh, hey, maybe he's going to round out his offensive game. He had another one of those alley-oop throwdowns. John, I mean, he's the breakout guy this year, right?
Yes, he is. A completely different level. And we've mentioned this. Like, okay, when he showed up at 19, we would see little spurts of just that raw talent, raw ability, be like, oh, wow, wait till he gets refined. Well, welcome to the present. And I don't want people to think I'm looking ahead to the schedule to see, hey, when is the next loss? I'm looking at it. Well, I'm looking at it in a perspective of you could predict or at least anticipate that, hey, there's a path to beat Atlanta. There's a path to beat Milwaukee, Indiana, Boston, Orlando, Miami. Miami had an emotional win, yesterday, but they're playing so good, they will lose another game.
Yeah, but put it this way, there doesn't feel like an end in sight.
Right, that's
because
a great
they've
way
been
to put
able
it.
to win without guys. They've won with really no consistency in the lineup or the rotation. They've won with depth, with buy-in. So, I mean, look, they could lose tonight and the whole thing ends, but it doesn't feel like there is a loss that's imminent for this team right now, and especially if they get Cade or Asar and Tobias and more of these guys back over the next few weeks.
Thank you for putting my emotions into words.
Of course.
What's with Dennis Jenkins? Like the last 4 games, Cade's been out. He's got 26, 19, 18, and 24. He's shooting 48% from 3. Malik who?
They're saying he's on a Linsanity run.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what is this?
Well, he's kind of taken the role of Schroeder and Beasley in that way because he can create his own shot, and he just gave the 3-point percentage. He's making those shots.
Yeah.
Like, how does Trajan spot somebody like this?
It's a great point. It should be a feather in his cap.
Right. And so, I mean, I asked you this question yesterday. I think a great 2 Grand Slam is who's number 24 for the Pistons?
Who?
Right?
What?
We're going to put that in on Thursday. Okay, today's is already done. That'll be.
I actually looked at it to make sure it wasn't in there. Yeah. No, we'll have one Thursday.
Oh, sorry. I'm already into Thanksgiving week.
Jeez.
Hey, we're all
Already
excited
passing up
about
that Giants game?
Who? Well, what? It's a Dan Campbell bounce back. So, yeah, we're on to Green Bay.
Oh, yeah, with the Giants. That'll make a big difference.
Number 24 for the Pistons will always be Tremaine Folks in my mind. He was number 24 on the championship team, one of the bench riders.
Okay.
Maybe you can make that the 2 Grand Slam question. Who was number 24 on the last champion Pistons team?
Yeah.
That's for the 10,000 Grand Slam.
Right. Yeah. Right. But I mean, my point is to what you guys were saying, like, who?
Right.
And all of a sudden, he's filling multiple roles for the Pistons, Dennis Jenkins. And that's the thing about this team where you're looking at, and last night, Duncan Robinson back to his, a little bit of a slump, 3 of 11 from behind the arc. But Jenkins is, 26 points. We talked about Jalen Duren with 31. You got Javonte Green coming off the bench with 20. They're finding different ways to win with different people.
Right. Like when they played on Friday night, it was Karis LeVert getting a little more involved, right? It's
Yeah, we've had Paul Reed explosions.
Also had a big night on this win streak. Yeah. So it's been a committee approach. It's been a buy-in, and look, it's the longest win streak since 2008. Mm-hmm. They're tracking to have one of their best seasons in a very long time, and they're doing it with even more room to grow because once they get everybody right, once they're healthy, they should take a leap.
Yeah, and I'm wondering how many Pistons fans, other than the diehards are going to watch 82 of 82 for the most part. Yeah. Last night with Monday Night Football on. Now, not a great matchup, the Cowboys and the Raiders, but it's football. And I've always been, in especially in the past few years, I'm just going to simply watch football. I was watching football, but I went multi-screen watching football and the Pistons because I just simply had to see what was going on.
Well, it timed up well. I mean, the Pistons are on first, and then they started to pull away, and you go, okay, right. I can toggle.
Yeah, but football starts a little bit earlier than just the game time. So it's watching.
What does that mean?
Well, you got all the pregame shows, yeah.
Okay.
And so, but that's what there are so many people that are just, hey, if a football game's on, I'm watching it, and trust me, I'm the meathead that does that. Or if there's football talk, I'm watching it. And the Pistons are so intriguing and so fun to watch. Their brand of basketball is just fun to watch because it's active.
Best word choice. They defend.
Yeah.
They run in transition. They move the ball and get others involved. Active. Best way to describe this team. And winning. All right. Lions are going to be a huge part of the show today. Dan Campbell's going to be on with us at 8:02. John, as we sit today, they are not in the playoffs. What's your confidence level that they will make the playoffs, and what's your confidence level they will win this division?
Well, they have their work cut out for them in the division in regards to where they currently stand. They're one game out of first place in regards to the Bears are 7-3. Green Bay Packers are a half game behind the Green Bay Packers, which is stupid. 6-3-1. And then Detroit Lions coming in 6-4. But they play the Bears again. They play Green Bay again. They play Minnesota again. Now, Minnesota I don't think is going to be a factor at all. But you have a chance to play all those guys that are in front of you. Plus, we said this at the beginning of the year. The schedule, quote-unquote, lightens up a little bit. And if you're looking at a team like Dallas, that is, they can be an offensive juggernaut with Dak and CD and Pickens. I'll take this defense that Detroit is playing against just about anyone in the NFL. I think they're playing at a very, very high level. And we know that the weakness for Dallas is the defense. So, I mean, you keep looking at all of the opponents that are on the horizon. And yes, they have the Rams. Not going to be an easy one out there with the Rams. They have a couple of games, but it's, hey, you get Green Bay at home on Thanksgiving Day. You got to take care of business. I think they will. You have Chicago at the end of the year. And the irony of this, and I think the NFL scriptwriters did a terrific job of putting the Bears at the end of the season, because it may come down to, you got to beat the Bears to win it all. You got to beat Ben Johnson to win the division.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah. And it just goes to the fact that there is a script for the football season.
Okay. There are 8 teams for 7 spots.
I keep getting you trying to bite on it.
I know. There are 8 teams for 7 spots. The Lions are currently the 8th team.
Yeah.
I don't think they will end up as the 8th team. I think they're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Question will be who gets shaken loose from this group. The Bears are going to play the Niners in Week 17 in San Francisco on Sunday Night Football. The Bears' final 3 games are Green Bay, San Francisco, and Detroit. I think the Bears are going to be the team left out.
I do as well. And I'm not even sure it takes, because they got to play the Eagles. They still have to play the Packers twice.
Yeah. Ideally, one would sweep the other for clarity's sake here. But yeah, I mean, they could beat each other up. Detroit's got to win on Thanksgiving Day. I mean, it's even more important than it was before Sunday Night Football. It becomes a critical game if you're going to win this division.
Yes.
248-539-9797. Got some ticket texts on the Pistons. Make some room on the phones. You want to talk about the Lions, too. Do you believe they are a playoff team in the midst of the struggles of late? It's 97-1.
FanDuel is the #1 sports book for same-game parlays. From points and rebounds to threes and assists, FanDuel is the best place to combine your favorite picks into a same-game parlay or track every stat live, all in one easy-to-use app. And right now is the perfect time to join, because new customers get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. I'll say that one again. Let it sink in. New customers, you're going to get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So bet on the players you love the way that you want. All you have to do is head to FanDuel.com/971Detroit to sign up today. That's FanDuel.com/971Detroit. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 or over and present in Michigan. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Mark champion Rick Mahorn. Pistons win their 10th in a row, longest win streak since 2008. Jalen Duren on the dunk there. Have a night, 31 points, 15 rebounds. He's doubled up his scoring from a year ago. He's one of the many bright spots for this basketball team. Couple quick ticket texts. DeVell in Madison Heights says, I've totally bought into the Detroit Pistons since January of last year. However, I wonder how much of this win streak and Duren's play is the result of the Pistons being that good or the East being that bad.
Well, it's a little bit of both, I think. And, I mean, you got the injuries in Boston and in Indy. Now, the kind of the weird thing is Milwaukee has started slow. And until last night, Giannis has been, full go. And Cleveland is obviously full go, but they're not in first.
I want to put this delicately. I don't care. I don't care if it's because the East is bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, so what does that mean? They'll get to the playoffs and they'll win multiple playoff series in the bad East, and I'm supposed to feel bad.
There's a team from the East that's going to be in the
finals,
NBA championships, right? Yeah,
right. So if the Pistons simply beat up on a bad East and have the greatest season in 15 years of Pistons basketball, I'm certainly not going to yeah, but does it really count? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I like DeVell, and I know what you're doing, DeVell. It's a fair question, but I don't really care if the East is down and the Pistons are taking advantage of a bad East, because it will give us one of the great Pistons seasons of 20 years.
Yeah. And I mean, we'll get a chance. There'll be some crossover games here. We'll get a chance to see how they measure up against those teams, coming out of the West. And
is that text saying, can they win the NBA championship? Because it's an awfully great question that we even get to ask at that point.
Right.
How real is this? Do you think they can win it all? But guys, it's November. I'm thrilled that that's even a consideration.
Yeah.
How about this ticket text, John? You may have seen me frantically scribbling some notes.
I did see you over there, yes.
Text says, I wonder if you guys could tell us how many individual Pistons have scored more than 25 points in a game this season.
So did you look
That's
it up?
what I was doing. I may have missed somewhat.
So can I
go ahead.
Don't know the answer to this question, but I am going to see if I can guess.
Okay. I actually have it for 20 plus and 25 plus.
Okay.
If I was doing one, I may as well.
All right, so 20 plus.
How many Pistons have scored at least 20 points in a game this season? Pistons have played 14 games on the year, 12-2.
I'm going to say, that's me counting. 9?
8.
8.
And again, I did this frantically, so I may have missed someone, but here are the Pistons who have scored at least 20 in a game. Cade, Duren, Asar, Beef Stew, Tobias Harris, Dennis Jenkins, Duncan Robinson, Javonte Green.
LeVert didn't have a 20-pointer?
I don't believe he did.
That was the one. That was the one I wasn't sure, and I just threw him in there because I figured I missed something.
Okay, how many have scored at least 25 in a game?
So if it was 8, I'm going to say 6.
5. Cade, Duren, Beef Stew, Paul Reed. Oh, shoot, I should have counted Paul Reed in the 20 plus.
9, I was right.
Paul Reed and Dennis Jenkins.
Yep.
You should, because math.
Because if you score at least 25, you've scored, at least 20. Again, I did this frantically. 9 Pistons have scored at least 25 Pistons have scored at least 25. That's what we call a total team effort.
Yeah.
Okay, couple more. Text 248-539-9797. Says, we live in a world where Tom Gores is the best owner in the city. I never thought I'd see that, Kevin and Mac.
Well, yeah, obviously with what they did with JB, we have yet to see a big splash in free agency, but I think you got to believe that it's going to be there. If he's willing to write a check to say, hey, $75 million or whatever it was to bye-bye to a coach for 1 year.
And on the Lions, we brought up briefly, and we'll talk more about it as the show rolls. They're not in the playoffs right now. Does anybody think they're going to miss the playoffs? Ticket text says 6-1 is my expectation to close the season. Dan Campbell teams typically dominate in December. Another one says if they aren't a playoff team, that would mean they lose at least 4 games the rest of the way. That doesn't feel likely.
So, I mean, I guess it depends on what's it going to take to get into the postseason.
How many wins? 10? 10?
Oh, I think at
11?
least 10, maybe 11. So they're going to have to go 5-2 at a minimum. And I think they will. 6-1 might be a little ambitious.
I don't think you need 12 to get in.
No,
you might
no.
need 12 to win the
12
division.
to win the division.
Yeah.
And so when you asked me that question, I went straight to the division because if you win the division, you're going to be in the postseason. Mm-hmm. And that, to me, I still think that they win the division.
Got Greg Palm coming up at 6:35. 12 best teams in college football from the mind of Greg Hargrave. We got the 2 Grand Slam at 7:25. Let's get to Heather with the news.
Well, this news is brought to you by Gardner White. Well, you may have heard this story yesterday. A Howell man was shot and killed outside of a restaurant that he managed in Commerce Township on Sunday night. According to the Oakland County Sheriff's Office, deputies were called to Prime 7 right around 9:40 p.m. on a report of a shooting. When they got there, the victim, a man who's 44 years old, who went by Franco, was found lying on the patio outside the restaurant. The owner of the restaurant and the brother-in-law of the victim says that Franco was called outside by a man, and that's when he was shot. So the sheriff's office obviously instantly began investigating, searching for the suspect. But they say within 20 minutes, the suspect, who is a 65-year-old Farmington Hills man, turned himself in, confessed to the shooting. It sounds like the suspect and the victim, had known each other for a period of time and got into a disagreement that escalated into gunfire.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
Awful story. The father of the 3 boys who went missing nearly 15 years ago was arraigned Monday morning. John Skelton was arraigned on 6 counts, including 3 homicide, open murder, and 3 tampering with evidence charges in Lenawee County. He remains lodged in the Lenawee County Jail. He was given a $60 million bond. Ooh. He was originally supposed to be released November 29th. Thought he was getting out of jail after 15 years. But now, if convicted, he'll spend the rest of his life behind bars.
Is there new evidence?
Well, that's what I asked when the story came out. And all the articles I've read don't say anything about new evidence. It sounds like with the case kind of being talked about again and being brought back up, perhaps there was things that were missed before, or something that they had before that they can now charge him with. I haven't read anything about new evidence. They just keep reiterating the story of what happened 15 years ago when the boys went missing.
You'd think there'd have to be new evidence. Otherwise, what are they adding time on for?
You would think there are, but they have not said anything about new evidence. I did read somewhere about somebody saying that it's something that they could have missed last time.
Oh, okay. Well,
and now, anyway, this is what's going on. He's probably looking like he could be just spending his life in jail. Yes. Greenfield Village will once again transform into a winter wonderland for its annual Holiday Nights event.
I love this.
I feel like I've been to it, but not recently, and it sounds amazing. So the festivities will run on select evenings in December. They'll feature, live music, ice skating, all the lights. You can ride in a Model T or a horse-drawn carriage. There'll be the food, the hot cocoa, the unique gifts and arts and all of that going on. Supper with Santa will remain for families with the young children. But there is something new coming to the event. There's a new dining experience for those 21 and up.
Oh.
So you got to leave the kids.
Yeah, hey, Ted will be fine in the wagon.
Leave them with Santa.
Yeah.
And then you
Thanks,
guys
Santa.
go have a drink. It's this new, the Mummers Diner at Stand 44. It's a reservation-only experience for guests 21 and older. Features a chef-curated menu paired with craft beer.
Oh.
So every meal you get is paired with the right beer to drink. So you could do that. Tickets are now available, and they are expected to sell out, so you should get them quickly.
Yes, and I do recommend you go online, you get your tickets, because it will happen fast. They go fast.
I'm going to go look. I think
you
the kids
should.
will love it.
It's Teddy loves it. We take all the kids. We try to. Trying to organize schedules, but
Sure.
Yeah, it's always a great experience.
Costco customers, beware. Costco says that 2 popular products that are sold in stores are now being recalled. It was just announced that 2 Caesar salad products, a Caesar salad and a chicken sandwich with Caesar dressing, are being recalled due to a possible presence of plastic foreign material located in the salad dressing.
just more roughage.
Don't want that. I mean, there's microplastics everywhere.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I guess eat at your own risk. They're saying don't eat it. They say if you have this, you can look at the item numbers and the expiration dates. Take it back to your local Costco for a full refund, or just throw it away and don't get a refund. But you can if you want to.
All right.
Heather with the news. All right, it's funny. We got a ticket text is going to take us in the direction we want to go at 6:50. Says if this is a playoff team, Campbell needs to lean into a new identity, a more defensive football team. We'll get to that at 6:50. Greg Palm is next, 97.1.
Hey, I want to highlight the great value that your Metro Detroit Buick GMC dealers are bringing you this month. And if you're looking for a stylish SUV, here's a great option for you. You can lease a new Buick Encore GX for just $199 a month. Encore GX is exceptional by design. Find your perfect Buick today. Again, that's a Buick Encore GX for just $199 a month. This deal is happening right now at any of your 20 Metro Detroit Buick GMC dealers. Tax, title, license, dealer fees, and optional equipment not included. Dealer sets the final price. It's based on due at signing amount of $3,849. Must be a current lessee of a 2020 model year or newer Buick or GMC vehicle through GM Financial for at least 30 days prior to the new vehicle sale. No security deposit required. Mileage charge of 25 cents per mile over 20,000 miles at participating dealers only. Residency restrictions apply. Visit gmcofferinfo.com. That's gmcofferinfo.com for more details.
All right, Greg, let's hear it.
All right. Well, this is a reminder of one ranking system. It's not more right than others, and others aren't more wrong than this one. It's just one of a variety of ways that we use to quantify teams. This one is accomplished and resume-based.
It's a number-based.
We're going to start with number one is Indiana for the fourth straight week. They are our number one team. 242 weighted games above 500. That's 11 games clear of our number two team. Question for them, are they capped out just like last year? They've got a late bye week and then the Big Ten's free square of Purdue. So it allows for some slippages to have some teams allow them to catch up.
But the easy answer for them is if they beat Ohio State, they will be the number one overall seed.
Right, yeah. And they may be capped out, but you can cap out at number one.
That's a good point.
Number two is BYU.
Huh?
What?
Now, I'm imagining a lot of perplexed looks out there as well. Just as surprised as you are, quite honestly, when I ran through the numbers and this popped up at number two. BYU has become the Greg Palm darling the last 2 years. It's a non-traditional power outside of the current Big Ten and SEC structures, and it gets them more easily dismissed by the powers that be. Now, for us, when you strip away the name and the logo of the team and you deal with the wins and losses, their resume shows their work. It's the competitive strength of the Big 12 coming through. 44-13 win over 6-win TCU. They have a win over Arizona that continues to recruit in value. The Wildcats just beat Cincinnati at Nippert Stadium to get to 7-3. And last year, BYU stayed in the rankings as long as they did because of their win over SMU. This year, East Carolina is their trump card. ECU gets a huge win in the competitive American Conference over Memphis, and don't look now, ECU is in a four-way melee for the two spots in the conference title game.
So the thing about BYU is, I think you mentioned this, the competitive strength of the Big 12, and I say that with a question mark.
Yes.
I'm not sure anybody's buying into the competitive strength of the Big 12, and the numbers may say something different, but they play at Cincinnati this week, and if they win, they'll have to play UCF, which nobody cares about. They'll have to play Texas Tech again in the Big 12 championship. I think if they lose that one, I think Big 12 might be a conference that only gets one in. And if they lose that one, I think they're out. They could go from number 2 in Greg Palm to out.
Well, we'll see what Greg Palm has to say, much less the committee.
Yes.
Two different things we have here. Number 3 is Ohio State. This team is boring. Complimentary. Last time they trailed, they were down 3-0 in the first quarter to Minnesota. The last time they had a sub 50% win probability. The early second quarter at Washington when they were down 3-0. The only other time they've trailed or had a sub 50% win probability was a scoreless first quarter against Texas before we knew what Ohio State was, before we knew what Texas was. We kicked off the season in August. Number 4, Texas A&M. Now, on a college football Saturday, I will add in data before games are officially final. I did not do that with Texas A&M when they were down 30-3 at halftime to South Carolina. They were at home, and I will give teams that are better a longer leash. Hey, let's see how the third quarter plays out. Well, they jumped on 21-0 in the third quarter.
Yeah.
And ended up winning a 31-30 game. They were facing a lot of what-ifs midway through that game. And they erased those and locked themselves in the playoff. Number 5, Georgia Bulldogs, 9-1 in the SEC clubhouse, done with conference play at 7-1. SEC title, the title game participants comes down to in-conference rivalry week. Could have 4 7-1 teams vying for those 2 spots. I don't know nor care to go through those tiebreakers at this point. Georgia's got the American Conference free square this week as they play Charlotte.
I know when you get down the list in terms of the Big Ten tiebreakers, and I got to believe it's a little bit similar to the SEC, it may come down to CFP ranking.
Look, Georgia's going to be probably 4 in the actual committee rankings. I'm not going to fight about 4 or 5. I think the reality, they're going to win the SEC, and they'll have a first-round bye.
Are they going to get to the game?
I think they will.
Well, again, yeah, huge question marks. We'll see.
Remember, got to get there first.
I know.
Number 6, Texas Tech. Obviously, the direct comp here is to BYU. So other than the win versus BYU, their conference and non-conference schedule has been a lot easier than what the Cougars have had to deal with. They played more teams against the bottom half of the league, rankings-wise, than BYU. And BYU makes up for the loss to Texas Tech in their other 9 games. So that's why we have BYU ahead of Texas Tech. Number 7 is Ole Miss. Gators made them squirm, but they do pull out a 34-24 win. Egg Bowl coming up after a bye. And remember, teams have had a tough time in Starkville, although it does look like Ole Miss at 10-2 even would get in.
I am curious, and I think Ole Miss is probably going to roll Mississippi State, but they're one of those teams in the SEC with that one loss. How does things play out? Do they make it to the SEC championship game? But what's going on with Lane Kiffin? And if they do, does he wait to take the Florida job? Does Florida wait until the playoffs are over? They can't possibly do that, right? And you can't have a coach that's going to be coaching next year at another school coaching in the playoffs at a current school. Well, so I say all that to know, what are the players thinking at Ole Miss in regards to where their coach is going to be?
How about this, John? Is Florida even a better job than what Lane Kiffin has built at Ole Miss right now? I don't think so.
It depends on what they're going to pay him.
Always comes out of the almighty dollar.
Sure.
Hey, by the way, before you go to number 8, Georgia makes the SEC title game. If Ole Miss beats Mississippi State, then Georgia wins the 3-way tie with Bama and Ole Miss based on SEC opponent win percentage. My head's spinning, but I think I found my answer. Continue.
Number 8 is Notre Dame. Eliminated Pitt from the at-large discussion of the college football playoff. Quirky thing about their schedule, they have wins over 3/4 of the Power 4 free squares. That's BC, Purdue, and Arkansas. So how do they get to 8th? They've got value wins against USC, Navy, Pitt, and yes, even NC State. Remember, they have 2 huge wins against Virginia and Georgia Tech, who might be playing each other in the ACC title game.
Here's the thing with Notre Dame. Since that second loss, 8-0, winning by an average of 25 points per game, all double-digit victories, and Jeremiah Love, I don't know if he's going to be in New York, but he probably should be.
He definitely should be. And their last game of the year at Stanford.
See this one, guys?
10:30 p.m. Eastern. Enjoy that one. And I just, for the college football players, I do believe that they're going to be in.
Me too.
And I'm just glad that at least my national championship contender at the beginning of the season is still available. Yours might not even go bowling.
You don't think Clemson's going to make the playoff at this point?
No, but and I say that in somewhat in jest because they're 5-5 and might not make a bowl game.
I think I got Furman coming up this week, so they probably will. Number 9 is Alabama. Now, despite the loss to OU, great chance to get in the field with 10 wins. Those high-level SEC games they have, they're not going away. The one caveat, we mentioned this before, Auburn plays them really tough at Jordan-Hare the last 3 times they've gone there.
Yep.
Number 10 is USC. Iowa came to Southern Cal, and they brought the Iowa with them. USC comes back from down 14 in the rain, scores the last 19 points, and wins. This is a Trojans team that is a lot better in the trenches. They're a lot better on defense than past Lincoln Riley teams. It's a much more balanced than the 22 team that was unstoppable on offense, had Caleb Williams at quarterback, but opted out of tackling in November.
Yes. Oh, wow.
Well, you'll notice who hasn't been listed so far. One loss, Oregon.
Yes, and USC plays Oregon this week, not for the 4th spot in the Big Ten, but the 3rd spot in the Big Ten. If USC goes to Autzen and gets a win, we need to seriously rethink how we view Oregon this year. They've had an easy schedule. And look, the point of Greg Palm is that these early season wins gain value the more that those teams win. How about Oregon's opponents after they've beaten them, so it doesn't count Indiana, are 10-24 after losing to Oregon. This is highlighted by Oklahoma State's 0-8 and Penn State's 1-5, who just got their one against Michigan State last Saturday.
It's a great point.
Yeah, and I love that this is the Greg Palm game of the week because USC going to Oregon, if Oregon loses 2 games, they will both be in Autzen.
Yeah, wow.
Number 11 is Oklahoma. Biggest winners of the week. They vault up 10 spots. They're back in the playoff discussions after the Alabama win, which was seen as a roadblock game. So they don't have any more roadblock games remaining, but they're still challenging. Mizzou and LSU, both on the schedule to close out the season, both in top 45 of our rankings, but both are in Norman. Unlike John, I will give them credit for beating Michigan in September.
Look, with Oklahoma, no one's going to argue them as a serious national title team, I don't think. But they feel like a team that could get hot and go on a run. Mateer gets back to form, a defense that forces takeaways and pressures and stuffs the run. Don't sleep on them because, to Greg's point, they should win out and they should be in the college football playoff.
And rounding out number 12 is Miami of Florida at 8-2. Game Day did a marvelous job highlighting the U's plight. They are the highest ranked ACC team, both in the college football playoff rankings and in Greg Palm, too. But they don't have a reasonable path to the ACC title game, and that might be what keeps them out. ACC and American contenders dominate the undercurrent of our rankings. North Texas is 15th, Virginia is 16th, Tulane is 18th, and Georgia Tech is 20th.
So with Miami, they are looking to get a multi-bid ACC spot. And I think their best case is only 2 losses, especially as teams start picking up threes. And they beat Notre Dame. They're going to keep pointing that out. And I know it's early in the year, but this is a total season. You have to count those games early in the season. I think Miami is the ACC's best shot at getting multiple teams in the college football playoff. All right. A lot to sort out over the next couple weeks. It's only going to get more intense from here. It's Greg Palm. It's 97.1. All right, guys, tell you about KG Law, because if you find yourself in a car accident, you or someone you care about, you're going to want to find someone who cares about you, who's going to fight for you, who's going to get you the best possible results. That's Lawrence KG and KG Law. They specialize in car accidents, so you're going to get that personal attention to detail from someone who cares. Tell you about Lawrence KG. He's a Detroiter. He's a down-to-earth good dude, and he's someone you want in your corner. He built his business doing things the right way and delivering. 98% success rate. He's won millions for his clients. 877-KG-CARES. That's KAJY, KGCares.com. But keep finding ways to squeeze in Pistons talk. They've won 10 in a row. Jalen Duren, 31-15 last night. They win without Cade Cunningham. It's the longest win streak since 2008. Play again tonight on a back-to-back in Atlanta. Jalen Duren didn't get that extension before the year. He's playing like a guy who's going to get one now.
Yes.
All right, John, with the Lions, we asked a question. They're not in the playoffs today. Will they be out of the playoffs at the end of the season?
Ultimately, I don't think so.
I don't think so either. It will entertain it if people are truly doom scrolling today. I think they'll get in. You think they're good. You think they'll get in. We did get a ticket text that suggested if they're going to get in and if they're going to make any noise, they're going to have to be a more conservative football team. They're going to have to lean more on their defense. If the O-line can't play the way they did 2 years ago, you can't go for it on every fourth down, 4th and 5 at midfield. You got to punt, play field position, lean on your defense. John, do you agree with that?
To a certain extent. I don't want to take away the aggressive nature of the team, but when you look at their conversions on third down, and some of it is misleading because their conversion on third down is less because they're not necessarily playing to convert. Yes, you would love to convert every single third down, but they're playing it with the mindset of we're going to just simply go for it on fourth down. Now, we know what that cost them on Sunday night. They were 3 of 18 on third downs and fourth downs. They were 0 for 5 on fourth downs. So the question is, in previous iterations of this Lions teams, basically the last 2 years, they've been a team that's reliably been able to score 31, 32, 33 points a game. If that's not the case now, because against these better defenses, a la Green Bay, Kansas City, and Philly, they're not able to score enough points because of the lack of consistent play on the offensive line. If it's simply a race to 20, and we kind of always thought that that's what that was going to be last week, was a race to 20. Whoever gets there first wins the game. It doesn't matter if you're going by 7s or by 3s. If you're in scoring range and you take that 3 instead of going for it, but you take the points, you might actually have a chance to win that game. And so we get these, even in the prime of this offense at its height, people were saying these calls by Dan Campbell are going to cost him games. So the question is, does Dan Campbell need to take a look at what the team is and the makeup that he has now against playoff contending teams?
Specifically against the teams you have to beat to win a Super Bowl.
Right. Does he need to coach differently and call a game differently because it's simply a race to 20 or 25, because you have a really good defense, and the fact that your offense is struggling, you may not be able to score as many points, you should take the ones that are there for you to take, a la 3 points with a field goal.
If you are someone that didn't like the aggressiveness when it was working, you have to hate the aggressiveness today.
Yeah.
Now, the answer is you don't refit and format your entire team on the fly midseason, but you should tweak. You should adjust.
Shouldn't you coach to the skills of your team?
What does every coach say? I got to do what I got to do to win. Well, the best way to win for this team might be just a slight dialing back on the fourth down aggressiveness, right? Where, hey, 4th and 1 in enemy territory, I'm going to say go for it. You know what I mean? 4th and 6 at midfield, I'm punting the football.
Right. It may be more field position, more importantly than just the 3 points. If your defense is playing this good, it may be, hey, let's play the field position game and win the field position battle.
And think about this. What side of the ball is going to get healthy? Like, we got calls yesterday. Hey, the Lions will be fine. They'll get healthy.
Defense.
Feels like the defense is going to get healthy.
Yeah, you're going to eventually get Kirby Joseph back.
And your corner and DJ Reed, and eventually Terrion Arnold in there too. You're going to reformat the secondary. You're going to have a healthy defense. I don't know that Mahogany's coming back this year. I don't know that the offensive line is going to solidify. Like, hot damn, if it does, it's great. But, John, if it doesn't, we got to be honest about this football team. You mentioned last year, or you mentioned that the third down percentage isn't totally telling because they go for it on fourth down.
Right.
Think about this. Last year, they also went for it on fourth down a lot.
Yeah.
Their third down didn't suffer. They were number 4 in the NFL on third down conversions a year ago. This year, 27th. And it's not like, well, they go for it on fourth down and they convert at such a high level that it's worth it. They're 14th on fourth down conversions. So you're not converting third. You're not converting fourth. Not the way you used to. And I think the explanation is obvious. The offensive line isn't as good as it used to be. So rather than throw away possessions and points and field position, I think you do have to be more strategic. That doesn't mean you clam up and go into a shell and try to win 10-9 every week. You don't turn into Iowa football. But I do think you have to just crank it back a couple notches and play into what the strength of this football team is. And try not to put your weaknesses on display. Your weakness is the ability to convert third downs and fourth downs. So why would you make that more of a problem by being as aggressive as you are?
And I'm really curious, obviously, for those that were against the aggressive, play calling or decision making, no doubt you are 100% in favor of him tweaking that or maybe even going a wholesale change. I don't think it needs to be a wholesale change. But if you were one that was, hey, on board with going for it on fourth down and the fake punts in your own territory, because it worked against Kansas City a couple of years ago, it's worked before. It's just not working, at least to this point this season yet. Are you hoping that Dan Campbell tweaks his aggressive style and throws in a little bit of a flair of conservative calling in those situations? 248-539-9797.
Some of the early returns on the text says, you can't talk about these decisions costing the Lions games and then ignore the games that these decisions won them games.
Okay. What?
I don't think we are.
No. So this is not last year's team.
Correct.
This is not last year's offense. This is not last year's play caller. Although I do believe it is still Dan Campbell's offense. This is a much different makeup. You're going to have to adjust to what your strengths and weaknesses are this year. So when you look at what games have they won this year because of aggressive play calling, and obviously you didn't win at Green Bay, and I don't know that aggressive play calling cost them in Green Bay. That was just they were outmatched. Kansas City, you lost. Philly, you lost. Minnesota, you lost. What are the other games that you won because of being aggressive on third and fourth downs?
We'll get more of your response on the text and on the phones. Do the Lions need to dial back the aggressiveness to have their best chance to win? It's 97-1.
Brought to you by Sam Bernstein Law Firm. With last night's 127-112 victory over the Indiana Pacers, the Pistons have won 10 straight games. It's their longest win streak since the franchise won 11 games in December of 2007 and January of 2008. How have they been able to go on such an impressive streak? Here's what Jalen Duren had to say. Pistons at it again tonight against the Hawks over on WWJ at 7:30. The Red Wings are back at Little Caesars Arena tonight. They will drop the puck with the Seattle Kraken right here on 97.1 at 7 o'clock. Dan Campbell spoke to reporters yesterday and gave some updates on the Lions' injury front. Campbell will speak on the morning show here on 97.1 The Ticket today as the Lions face the Giants this weekend. At the Corewell Health Sports Desk, I'm Brendan Shabath. For more, visit 97.1 The Ticket or Odyssey.com.
Read some of your response on the text. Get to the phones. John, I think you said something we need to reemphasize.
This is not last year's team.
It's not. Last year's team won 15 football games. last year's offensive line was so much better, and last year's team converted 3rd and 4th downs at a much higher clip. So those gambles, well, the odds were in your favor. Mm-hmm. The gambles, much riskier with this group right now. The Lions went from number 4 in 3rd down conversions to 27th. They went number 4 in 4th down conversions to 14th. So those decisions are riskier. Those decisions are backfiring more often. And if this team is going to win the Super Bowl, they're going to have to tailor the decisions to the team they have, not the team they wanted to have. 248-539-9797. Let's get to Adam in Gibraltar. Adam, appreciate the call.
Hey, good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good.
I'm not trying to sound like a Debbie Downer here, but I have a golf jersey and everything, but I'm gonna tell you guys right now, I'm starting to realize he's not gonna win us the big one. I think when you see his struggles against top contenders, he really struggles. In games outside, he really struggles. I think with, like you mentioned, with our O-line, you don't need a top 3 to 5 O-line if you have a QB back there that can extend plays and be mobile. I think I want to say that's what they're missing. It's not really hard to game plan against Goff, to be honest. He's good when he has a clean pocket, one of the best in the league. I'm not going to downplay that. But when he is off, he's off, guys. Like, he was under pressure at all times, and I get that. But with a mobile quarterback back there, if he's under pressure, he's getting out of that pocket.
You're right.
And he's converting 3rd downs. On that 3rd and 3, when he got on that 4th and 3, when he was pressured and he tried to step up in the pocket and try to sidearm it to, I believe it was like Brock Wright or someone over the middle, and completely missed. Any mobile quarterback would have stepped in that pocket and just got that 1st down conversion.
Okay, so Adam, let me ask you this question. Is it easier for you to go out, whether free agency in the draft, to build an offensive line that your quarterback, being Jared Goff, can stand behind and pick apart defenses? Because he does need a clean pocket. I agree with you. Or is it easier to go find a mobile quarterback to replace Jared Goff?
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've been kind of wanting to predict this for a few years now. This QB in Cincy that's going to want out pretty soon. And the contracts for Burrow and Goff kind of align perfectly. And, with J-Mo's actions, I think we could package a deal to get T. Higgins and Burrow here. But with our front
What is
office,
going on right now?
So
what is happening?
Yeah. Okay. Instead of, we went from wanting to get Trey Hendrickson. Now you're going to sit there and trade for Joe Burrow.
The way I like our defense. I think they should have made a move on defense, but I like the way our defense plays, even when we're injured. So I necessarily don't think we need a piece on defense.
No, Adam, I think we're having two different conversations.
Yeah,
and you're
I think
a regular caller, and you're a very good caller. This is not one of your finest moments.
Highly unlikely that Cincinnati trades Joe Burrow and T. Higgins
for Goff and J-Mo and picks. What fantasy
and
land?
5 first rounders, which you can't do.
We just stumbled into fantasy land. No,
by the way, Joe Burrow can't stay healthy.
Right.
Very valid. John, to answer your very good question, it's going to be easier to add 1 or 2 offensive linemen than to re-roll on a franchise quarterback. When they extended Jared Goff, they made a covenant with the football gods. You have to keep an offensive line in front of him. If you break that bond, that sacred oath to the football gods, the whole thing collapses. If you pay Goff but don't build an offensive line, you're underwater. And you may have to change the way your football team operates to find ways to win football games.
And I think getting those offensive linemen is going to be more challenging than you think. We don't know anything about Mahogany. I think Ratledge is going to be able to hold his own in this league and play guard or center. But all of a sudden, you're going to have a Decker problem very soon.
Yeah.
And getting these guys in time to fit Jared Goff's timeline, who's 31, and I don't think he's going to age very well. I think he's got maybe 3 to 4 more good years. In terms of $50 million quarterback comment, quickly, why are you paying a guy $50 million if you need a defense? Peyton Manning's only Super Bowl, Bob Sanders won MVP. Mm-hmm. Case closed. You need a complete team.
I believe Brady, all or nearly all of his Super Bowls came when his defense ranked in the top 10 of scoring defense.
Yes. And so in regards to, now I'm not going to do, off-season radio right now, but since Adam brought up the topic of, hey, go get a different quarterback, and then I asked, it seems to be a very legitimate question of, is it easier to get an offensive line or replace your starting quarterback, your franchise quarterback? The easy answer is offensive line. And then Tom asked, well, it's not going to be that easy. Here's where I think you're going to have a change in philosophy for Brad Holmes and this offensive line. If you're going to have a Decker problem, which I do believe they will, and this may be Taylor Decker's last year as the starting left tackle for the Lions, they have an all-world tackle that has played left tackle. In the offseason, you put Penei Sewell over at left, and then you go in the draft or you go in free agency and get yourself another high-quality right tackle. And then you build,
Sure.
You got to go get yourself a center. So is it easy? No. Is it going to cost you some money? Yes. But you've already spent that money on the quarterback. He's not going anywhere. So you've got to build that offensive line.
Text coming in. 248-539-9797. If Goff hits Brock Wright on 4th down to score, nobody's crying about going for it. It's an overreaction from a loss. Hold on.
If he hits, if he has the time to hit him. And the problem was, on that one, it wasn't the interior. It was both of your tackles.
The world collapsed on him. He got snapped by both.
Yeah,
both
got the Malachi crunch.
Exactly. So, look, if he converts it, great. But if that's the line he's playing in front of, they're not going to convert them as often. That's the whole freaking point.
And that may be the most disappointing play because
He was wide open.
He was coming wide open. Jared Goff didn't have time to find him. He went to what he thought was going to be his playmaker, and it wasn't. I don't think it was Goff's fault on that one. He had to get rid of the ball. It wasn't Amon-Ra's fault. It was simply not going to happen because he didn't have the time. And the disappointing part was Penei Sewell got beat so quickly on that play. And it's, hey, to whom much is given, much is expected, especially on 4th and got to have it. I was shocked to see that happened on that play.
Guys, changing up the identity of the team midseason makes very little sense. It's not going to have the result you think. The Lions need to double down on their offense, which is still a strength, and play more free with play calls. Conservative kills this offense.
Okay, so play more free with play calls. You want to hit Amon-Ra St. Brown deep. I think he's averaging 11 yards a catch right now. You want to be able to hit J-Mo deep. It takes time. It takes time for those guys to get downfield. As fast as J-Mo is, it still takes time for him to get downfield, and you've got to have time in the pocket. Right now, they don't have it.
John in Livonia, you're on 97.1.
No, I just want to chime in on this whole, Jared Goff not being able to win, being the guy narrative. The fact of the matter, none of us know who the guy is or where the guy's going to come from. There's only a handful of quarterbacks in the NFL that have truly shown they can win a Super Bowl by winning a Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford was never a guy that could get it done until he got it done. And one of the guys that has won it was Jalen Hurts, who looked awful. He looked worse than Goff did, I think, the other night. So the narrative that he can't get it done is just silly. And then for that guy, the caller before, to go in there and say, well, we need to go get T. Higgins and Joe Burrow instead. Huh? It's fantasy land. What you guys are saying about building a line, they absolutely have shown that they could be a Super Bowl contending team. When they're healthy, when they have a line, things are going right. That's with every team. Every
Correct.
team needs things to go right for them to win a Super Bowl. It's not just the Lions. The Lions need a good line and a healthy defense, and they can be a Super Bowl contending team. It's as simple as that.
I think the criticism is you need it to be more perfect for Goff than other quarterbacks, but the logic applies. This team has let him down by not keeping the offensive line humming the way they were last year and the year before. They've made it harder on him. Now, what are they going to do about it? These are off-season conversations about that. What are they going to do in season between the white lines to win as many games as they can this season? And not the Giants game, playoff games, plural. Do they have to dial back the aggressiveness just one or two notches to account for the fact that they don't have the personnel to execute the way they did last year and the year before?
I mean, Has Joe Burrow won a Super Bowl?
Nope.
Has Josh Allen won a Super Bowl?
Nope. Neither has Lamar.
Has Lamar?
No.
So you're talking about two of the most
and by the way,
mobile quarterbacks.
What did the Eagles do to win the game this last week against the Lions?
It was defense.
Field position and defense?
Yeah.
Will in Detroit, you're on 97.1.
I just want to chime in real quick. Everybody want to blame Goff. And is he a top 5 quarterback? No. But when Brad Holmes brought Goff to Detroit, he knew what he was bringing in, and he failed us in the draft in 24 and 23 by not stacking up on linemen. You need a good O-line for Goff. Goff have a top O-line, he's going to be a top 5 quarterback. Otherwise, he got killed on Sunday night.
You're right. Well, I agree. And I go back to, I'm not going to sit there and look at the Terry Arnold pick and say, oh, they should have gone offensive line. We all knew they needed corner help. Whether or not he's the guy moving forward, we'll find out. But Rakestraw in the second round, you double down on corner and you don't address the offensive line, and it's the same thing this year?
Exactly. And that was I was talking about the Rakestraw pick, trading up to get Vaki, trading up to get Manu. Those picks are linemen that you could have developed versus these projects. So I think there's a difference between a developmental player and a project.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and obviously Manu is a project.
Yeah,
and the problem is
less raw and more plug and play.
Right, and the problem is, and I know as I'm saying all these things, they did go get a guard in the second round this year.
But one guard isn't going to make up for a guard and a center that they lost from last year's team.
Right, and so as soon as that happens, you have to go out in free agency. You have to go, and at that point, everybody's saying, hey, wait for the trade deadline. No, you can make a trade prior to the season when you have something like that happen.
And I'm going to stick with the analogy. Water the garden is what they have said publicly. You don't plant a crop and then it sprouts the next day. Mm-hmm. So drafting Ratledge this year, I think he's going to be a good player. You needed to plant those seeds before this season so that you could harvest your crops and keep your offense playing and humming the way it had been. We'll get to the 2 Grand Slam. Heather's News next, 97.1. Football season's heading into crunch time, don't we know it? So is your calendar. You got work, you got family, you got the holidays, game days. It's easy to forget that dentist appointment you've been putting off. Brightside makes it quick and easy, like a no-huddle offense for your smile. If you've been putting off that visit, you want to start the new year with a brighter smile, now's the time. Brightside Dental, welcoming new patients, $35 new patient special. If your current dentist can't see you, Brightside can, often same day. 9 Metro Detroit locations to choose from. 1-800-PAINLESS. Visit BrightsideDental.com. That's Brightside Dental. No judgment, just care.
After a steamy summer, be ready for that first blast of winter cold, and we've had a couple of them, so get on the list. Mastercraft Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical will do a complete furnace checkup to make sure it's running properly, but most important, safely. Right now, it's only $79. That's $30 off the regular price, so give them a call today because spots are filling up quickly, and I got a spot this week, so I know that they're at a premium. Don't forget, Mastercraft does plumbing, electrical, and generators as well, all at discounted prices. Do it now. You can find more information on the web at mastercraftheating.com. That's mastercraftheating.com.
We're going to be joined by Dan Campbell at 8:02 this morning. We've got the 2 Grand Slam coming up, but first, Heather with the news.
So the FAA has lifted all flight restrictions and travelers should see things return to normal. So Detroit Metro Airport was among 40 major airports nationwide that, saw forced cuts to flights by as much as 6%. This was obviously during the big, long government shutdown, and the cuts fueled thousands of delays, cancellations across the country. But now, just in time for holiday travel, airlines can restore full schedules system-wide. So if
Huge
you are,
sigh of relief.
Yeah, if you are a frequent traveler, you probably are going to see smoother operations, more available flights, and even if you're not, but thank goodness.
Yes,
'Cause
everybody's sitting there going, am I actually going to make it where I need to go for Thanksgiving dinner?
Yep. Metro Detroit dominates a new list of Michigan's top 20 most dangerous intersections. So officials just unveiled the most dangerous intersections in the state, and they also unveiled how many crashes, injuries, and deaths happened at each last year. And 19 of the 20 are located in Metro Detroit. There's only obviously one outside of that area. Yeah. So the most dangerous intersection at 11 Mile and I-696 at Van Dyke Avenue in Warren saw 185 crashes and 26 injuries last year. A little bit of good news. The total number of crashes decreased by 15%.
Oh, good.
So still saw the most, but...
Any deaths?
I'm sure there were.
You know what? It's funny. I just said that it does, but on this list, it doesn't say. It just says 26 injuries.
Okay.
The next most dangerous intersection is a big roundabout. Those are also counting as intersections. It's at 18.5 and Van Dyke in Sterling Heights. 162 crashes, 12 injuries. And this saw the crashes jump 20% from 2023.
It should never happen at a roundabout.
No.
It shouldn't. People don't know how to use them yet. And when the really big ones like this one, this is not just a little, it's the multi-lane roundabout. People don't know which lane to get into, and that people don't know how to use them.
You said yet, like it's not a new concept.
I know. Another roundabout is at number 3, Martin Parkway and North Pontiac Trail in Commerce Township, followed by Schoolcraft and Telegraph Roads in Redford. And then at number 5, Hamilton Street and Washtenaw Avenue in Ypsilanti. So drive safe, people. Yeah. A Farmington Hills man is in custody after fatally shooting a man at an Oakland County restaurant Saturday night. Police were called to Prime 7 after receiving a call about a shooting right around 9:40 p.m. And when deputies arrived, they found the victim, who happened to be the restaurant's general manager, lying outside on the patio. Rushed him to the hospital where he was later pronounced dead. About 20 minutes after the shooting, the suspect turned himself in. He confessed to the shooting, apparently told officers why he did it. They haven't really unveiled all the details. They did say that they knew each other. They'd gotten into some sort of disagreement, and the victim or the suspect is being held at the Oakland County Jail. Police also recovered the handgun that was used, and that was reported stolen. Hey, if you want to win $2,000, give us a call now, 248-539-9797.
It's your time.
Yep. Finally, we've all dealt with flight delays before, but passengers on a recent flight from Boston to Tampa had to deal with even more disappointment when their flight had to turn around after a 3-hour delay, and it was all because of one person. This was a JetBlue flight. Like I said, they had to sit for 3 hours before they actually got into the air. And then about an hour into the flight, the pilot made an announcement that they were turning around because somebody decided to go into the bathroom and vape and smoke weed. And then apparently the crew inhaled it. And they had to go because nobody wanted to have a positive drug test. So they turned around and then the flight was ultimately canceled.
Oh, my goodness.
And I'm guessing the guy's facing charges, but I don't know what they are.
Yes.
Criminal mischief, I'm sure.
Sure.
It's always the go-to.
Come on, people.
It's awful. All right. It's Heather with the news. Let's give away some money.
All right, boys, let's give away some money. Rules are super simple. 60 seconds, 10 questions, $25 for each question answered correctly, and hopefully our lucky contestant can get them all right and walk away with $2,000.
Our lucky contestant, Jake in Ann Arbor. Jake, good morning.
Morning.
How's it going? You got your red-collared shirt and your khakis on?
Yep, I'm ready to go to work, and I'm a first-time player.
Excellent. Okay. All right, Jake, so you know the rules. If there's one you don't know, you can say pass, and if there's enough time, we'll get back to it. Are you ready to play?
Yep.
All right, here we go. Your timer starts now. Who do the Detroit Red Wings play tonight?
Oh, pass.
Who sings the Sunday Night Football theme for NBC?
Carrie Underwood.
This artist had the 2023 hit Last Night.
Pass.
Who is the head football coach for the Tennessee Volunteers?
Ooh, pass.
Who is the head coach for the Golden State Warriors?
That's Steve Kerr.
What is the largest Great Lake?
Lake Superior.
What team is currently in first place in the AFC North?
Pittsburgh.
Who voiced Gru in Despicable Me?
Steve Carell.
Who is the color commentator for Sunday Night Football on NBC?
Chris Collinsworth.
Winnipeg is located in this Canadian province.
Oh, Ontario.
Who do the Detroit Red Wings play tonight?
Pass.
This artist had the 2023 hit Last Night.
Oh, Morgan Wallen.
Who is the head football coach for the Tennessee Volunteers?
Pass.
Who do the Red Wings play tonight?
Pass.
Just name a hockey team.
Yeah, we got you with 7, I believe.
That's a good showing.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah. Started off rough, but ended strong.
Mm-hmm.
I've listened a lot.
You did a very nice job.
Yes.
I wish you would have just named any hockey team to give yourself a chance for 8.
We got back to how many?
Yeah,
Three?
I blanked. I don't follow hockey.
I got you, dude. It's all good. So that's quick math, $175.
Yes, well done.
That's not
Wow.
bad. Yeah. We're going to put you on hold.
Congratulations.
Yeah, make sure you get paid.
you.
Just hang on the line, and we'll go through it.
Yeah, 2 Grand Slam on Tuesdays, brought to you by Feminine New Law. Get David, get paid.
John, name a hockey team.
How about the Kraken?
That's who they play tonight. There it is.
Yes.
It is. It just does feel like just another. It's a random Tuesday
Yes.
hockey game. But they are playing the Kraken tonight, and then he started to pick up some steam here. Who sings Sunday Night Football?
It's Carrie Underwood.
Got back to the artist that had the 2023 hit Last Night.
Morgan Wallen. And I thought for sure he was going to get this one, being in Ann Arbor, because Morgan Wallen's coming to Ann Arbor.
Head coach at Tennessee football.
Josh Heupel.
Head coach of the Warriors.
Steve Kerr got that one.
Yep. What is the largest Great Lake?
If he missed this one, he was going to hit the hang up button. Lake Superior.
Team is currently in first place in the AFC North.
Steelers.
Who voiced Gru in Despicable Me?
It's funny this one was in there because Teddy and I just watched Despicable Me last night. This would be Steve Carell.
Or Carell?
Carell, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, he's not
Carell.
like he's a big name actor or anything.
Okay, whatever.
Color commentator for
Yeah.
Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, Mew. Talking about reading things.
If I'm going to take some arrows, I'm going to make sure to dish them out too. Carroll, Steve Carroll. Hey, he's my favorite actor. Steve Carroll was great in The Office.
It's not. I haven't even seen The Office.
All right, Chris Collinsworth is your commentator for Sunday Night Football, and it's not Ontario.
No, it's not Ontario, Bo.
Winnipeg is located in which Canadian province?
Manitoba.
That's right. Their AHL team is the Manitoba Moose. Facts that only I
Yes,
know or
would
care
know.
about.
Yes. All
right.
And yet you don't know where Bronner's is.
Is that Christmas thing, Frankie
Yeah,
Muth?
yeah.
So, is that fair or foul that John's never seen one episode of The Office?
It's foul, but
Okay.
It doesn't surprise me, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I don't know how you don't run into one.
I've seen bits and pieces, but I've never sat down and watched the entire episode. Just not my deal.
we got a show to do. Dan Campbell, 8 o'clock. We'll talk to the Lions head coach. Coming up next, Lions are not in the playoffs this morning. Is anybody jumping off the bridge? I think this team's going to make the playoffs still. It's 97-1.
Hey, Detroit, Heather here. Verizon wants you to bring in your AT&T or T-Mobile bill, and they'll give you a better deal. If you think Verizon is expensive, think again. Not only do they let you lock in your low price for 3 years, everyone in the family can mix and match their plans with My Plan. And everyone can get the same great phone deals when they trade in an eligible phone in any condition on My Plan. That means new and existing customers. Plus, when you mention hearing this radio ad, Verizon will give you up to $50 towards an in-store gift just for bringing in your bill for review. Visit your local Detroit Verizon store today for a better deal. Must provide a postpaid customer mobile bill dated within the past 45 days. Bill must be in the same name as the person redeeming the deal. 3-year price lock applies to then current base monthly rate. No purchase necessary for gift. Limit 50 redemptions per store and 1 per customer. Apple products excluded. No credit for redemptions less than $50. Additional terms apply. See www.verizon.com/switch-2-verizon/.
I got a Lions question we'll get to in a second. Couple quick texts. Dumb humor is John's niche, and he doesn't like The Office? Make it make sense. It's a show made for him. And another says, John, as the king of immature jokes, you'd love The Office.
Well, maybe I'll have to check it out. I take offense to the dumb humor. I think it's very witty humor.
That wasn't my intent, and I'm going to share what we were talking about in the break, okay, real quick. So we said that you'd never seen The Office, and I said, have you seen 2.5 Men? You said, not really. Then I said King of Queens, and I think that's always a solid sitcom.
Sitcom, sure.
And then you said you like Kevin James, and then I said, well, did you see the movie Chuck and Larry?
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah. And you have to let everybody know who you watch Chuck and Larry with.
So that was when I was playing, and so I went with some teammates. I went with the current quarterback coach with the Detroit Lions, Mark Brunell. Jeremiah Trotter was there. And so was Ethan Albright, my roommate for 9 years. So we went, the four of us, watched Chuck and Larry.
See, Chuck and Larry, the premise was two guys had to act like they were gay firefighters, right?
Right, yeah, for benefits.
In order to keep the sun, right?
No, it was to keep the benefits
keep the benefits, yeah.
Yeah. So they went through this whole, song and dance about, being a couple. And it was Adam Sandler and what's his name? Kevin James.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious movie. And so Jeremiah Trotter, funny story, he had a great sense of humor as well. We go to sit down in that one, and he sits in the handicap section where... Because there was nobody sitting there, and we all needed more legroom, right? And so then this guy comes in his wheelchair, and Jeremiah obviously gets up, and then he sits down next to us and says, "I don't know why I had to get up. He came in his own chair." He's a funny dude. Now his son's playing for obviously the Eagles.
Yep,
Jeremiah Trotter Jr.
Full circle.
Yep.
Was Clinton Portis there?
No.
Practically every other joke in The Office is a "that's what she said" joke. John, you've never seen it? John in Lake Orion.
My father-in-law is the king of "that's what she said." And it makes me laugh every single time.
Another text. I feel like we might as well go full Pistons train at this point. The Wings are confusing, and the Lions don't look like they're going to get it done this year. So let's get into the Lions right now. They're not in the playoffs today. I don't think that's how this is going to go. I'm not at the edge of the cliff ready to jump. I think they're going to make the playoffs. If you have those level of doubts, let us know. Second part of this question, the division, right? Losing to the Eagles sucks, but if they beat Green Bay, they're right back in the driver's seat in this division. John, will they make the playoffs? Will they win the division?
So I think the one question answers the other. Do I think they'll win the division? Yes.
Well, then they'll be in the playoffs.
They'll be in the playoffs.
Okay.
That's the easiest way for me to go about it. I went kind of a roundabout way earlier, but I'm going to cut to the chase and just say I do think that they win the division. I think that they'll beat the Packers on Thanksgiving Day. And it may very well come down to the matchup with the Bears at the end of the season, that final game, which is going to be in Chicago. It'll probably be cold, and we'll have to go through the entire conversation of Jared Goff wearing gloves, can he play in the cold? He has shown that he can win in the cold. He's done it before. He's done it in Green Bay. So, yeah, I think they do win the division.
The key to all of this is the Chicago Bears. I think there are 8 teams for 7 spots, as we sit today. I think the top 8 teams in the NFC are the only teams that will make or that could make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And the Bears will play the final 3 weeks of the season: Green Bay, San Francisco, and Detroit.
And they've got to play Green Bay twice.
Correct.
And I am very intrigued to see that matchup. Not because, do I think the Bears are going to beat Green Bay? No, I don't. But because of the comments that Ben Johnson made about one Matt LaFleur at the end of the season, and then to find out that Matt LaFleur, like, hey, do you know Ben Johnson? No, not really.
No, we're not cool like that.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious.
So think about this. Like, the Bears aren't going to have any wins subtracted. That's not how this works. They get credit for every game they've won. But if you compare who they've beaten to who they have to play, I think they're going to be the odd man out here.
Only thing I would say is be careful for a team that is loaded with a bunch of guys that haven't won. And now all of a sudden they're gaining a little bit of confidence. They kind of feel like, hey, no matter what happens, we can find a way to eke out games, which is what they've done.
And that's important. But
I think the clock runs out on them, but just be careful with the team that is building confidence.
Right. But if I have to answer which of the 8 is going to drop out and not make the final 7 playoff spots, they're the culprit.
Yeah.
Like, I'll put more stock in a team like San Francisco with Shanahan and the offense, the Zombie Niners. They get to host the Bears on Sunday Night Football in Week 17. I'll put more stock in the Lions, who dropped a 50-burger on this team, who has made the playoffs and won the division the last couple seasons. And I'll put more stock in the Packers, who are going to get not 1 but 2 cracks at the Chicago Bears. So I think Detroit will make the playoffs. And Thanksgiving Day decides whether they win the division. And, John, playing that game at home, evening up the score.
Yeah, and when you're looking at a
I
team
think
like San Francisco, I don't think they're a team that drops out either, because what have they proven? They've proven that they can win with injuries. Very similar to what the Lions did last year in the regular season. Now, it may come to roost in the postseason, but I think they're a team that, whether it's Brock Purdy, and he just came back last week, threw for 3 touchdowns, looked pretty darn good. Without him, they look pretty darn good with Mac Jones.
Ticket Text says that the Lions need to win 6 of the final 7 games to make the playoffs, which I don't think that's the case at all.
No, I think it's probably 5-2.
5-2 gets you to 11 wins.
Right.
But 11 should be a playoff team.
And I'll go back to what we said preseason with the way that the schedule looked to start the season. Hey, get to and through the Philadelphia game, through 10 games, and if you're 6-4, you're going to be sitting. You may not have the number 1 seed, which I think that ship has sailed, but with the way the schedule sets up at the end of the season, should they go 5-2 from here? Yes, at a minimum.
So the wins they should get: Giants this week, Cowboys,
yes,
Steelers,
yes.
Those are ones I don't think are negotiable. I think those are,
and your division opponents,
Bears and Packers. That gets you to 5-2,
and Vikings.
Oh, 6-1.
Christmas Day.
There you go.
I know Heather's looking forward to that one.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the toughest game remaining is probably at LA. And it's not exactly a home field out there, but it is a front and a quarterback, and arguably the best team in the NFC, 1A, 1B with the Eagles. Even if if they lose that game, it's going to further solidify the point that they're not a Super Bowl team. But, John, they're a playoff team. I'm certainly not willing to fly off the handle and say, this team's out and they're not going to make it.
No. I think they have opportunities in front of them to prove that they can handle defensive fronts. And it's going to be the defensive front of Green Bay and the defensive front of the Rams.
To a lesser extent, too. I mean, you get TJ Watt to deal with down the stretch. And you're going to face the Vikings, which we know screwed them up and messed them up. You get a chance to clean it up.
But, and I know I was just all over Penei Sewell, but TJ Watt doesn't move around the defensive front like some of these other, like Jalen Phillips. Jalen Phillips is line up anywhere.
No, the biggest question is, can they handle the Packer front? Because they've got 2 edges.
Right.
You can't cheat it and slide. You're just going to have to deal with it. And John, that might be one of the games that they have to win 20-17.
Yeah, and Rashawn Gary may be a guy that they want to say, go ahead and line up over the guards. Like that, he's got that flexibility.
Yeah. And they do it with Parsons, too. They move him all over. Yeah. Let's get some phone calls in. Chris in Tecumseh, you're on 97.1.
Hey, guys. I have a question. Do you guys think the roster construction has been it's not about his antics. I think extending J-Mo at the same time as using those 3 draft picks from getting Tesla is going to really destroy this, because if you think about it, there is no way that they can rebuild that line with any free agents. Plus, you have to, we see it, you have to pay Gibbs, even though I'm not big into paying running backs, and you definitely have to pay Laporta because they were sorely missing him. I think his fatal flaw is not the Broderick Martin draft picks and stuff like that. I think him and Campbell have to regret paying that much money for J-Mo, because there's only so much money. I know that the salary cap goes up, and I know this and that, but you look at that line, that's his fatal flaw, is paying that number 2 wide receiver. Because look at T. Higgins. They paid T. Higgins in Cincinnati. They don't have any money to pay any line. They don't.
So the
And
Eagles
that's
paid
what's gonna
Smith
kill.
and A.J. Brown, right?
Yep.
What's that?
The Eagles paid Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. They won the Super Bowl.
I honestly think they may regret.
Maybe
paying
they
those
do.
folks.
I want to make the point that it's not disqualifying. It does make your life harder, and I think Howie Roseman's been super aggressive to capitalize because of it. And the challenge is there for Brad Holmes now.
Yep.
Talk to Dan Campbell coming up at 8 o'clock. Get some of his thoughts on the Lions situation as we sit today. It's 97.1. Let's be honest, nobody plans for a new roof, and it always seems to come at the worst time. You haven't saved up a bunch of money. The cost can feel overwhelming. I want you to know about Shaner Roofing, Michigan's trusted roofing experts for more than 30 years. Right now, Shaner's making it easier than ever to protect your home with 0% interest financing for 5 years. That means you can get the quality roof you need today without the stress of that big upfront payment. Here's the thing. Shaner's not a fly-by-night company. They didn't just start their business yesterday. When they talk about the work they do, it's built on thousands of satisfied homeowners who rave about their professionalism, the craftsmanship, the customer care. See what I'm talking about? 4.9-star Google rating. If your roof is leaking, if it's aging, if you're ready for peace of mind, you don't have to stress about it. Go to mymichiganroof.com. That's mymichiganroof.com, powered by Shaner Roofing, where quality meets affordability. trying to assess the level of stress and panic that Lions fans are feeling today. Not in the playoffs headed into Week 12. Third place in the division. Text says they won't make the playoffs. It's from Ken and Clausen. They didn't address the offensive line. I will say the defense has been a pleasant surprise. Few more texts. The Bears have a -6 point differential. The Lions are plus 74. I think that tells you everything about the Bears. They'll be the one to miss. Josh and Warren. Guys, as panicked as we are, realistically, we should go 6-1 to end the year. At worst, 5-2. I'm not crazy. Says the only game we will be dogs will be the Rams, and that's if Stafford is still standing with his back.
I agree. You're probably going to be favored in 6 of the last 7, as you should be. But it's just going to come down to a matter of execution. And in these games, how can you get that offensive line to gel and be better by the time you get to the playoffs?
And do you need to play a little differently? It's something that we discussed a little bit yesterday. We've discussed a little bit today. It's something we can ask Campbell about is, look, they're not converting 3rd and 4th down the way they did a year ago. And it's understandable. The offensive line is not as good as it was a year ago. Do they need to dial back a little bit of the aggressiveness, lean into the strength of the team with their defense? I'm not saying on 4th and 1 they should cowardly punt at midfield, but at 4th and 5? I mean, the defense is going to get healthier. The defense is the side of the ball that you feel like has even more going well for it.
Yeah, and more reinforcements on the way.
Yeah.
I mean, the secondary's played well, amazingly so, and I think Kelvin Shepard has done a tremendous job, but you get DJ Reed back, and that's an upgrade.
Like the gambles that they've been so famous for. They were 4th last year on 4th down, 4th last year on 3rd down. This year, 27th on 3rd down, 14th on 4th down. You don't have the team you had last year. Do you need to slightly alter, not completely reimagine who you are as a football team, but slightly alter to give yourself the best chance to win? Lions are the only team over 500 the Bears have played so far this year, and the Browns are the only team under 500 they play the rest of the way. This texter predicts they will beat the Browns and the Packers, but finish 9-8 for the Chicago Bears. That would make them the odd man out.
Yes.
Again, their final 3 weeks are Green Bay, San Francisco, Detroit.
That's a gauntlet.
They're gonna decide with their play who the final team is in the NFC playoff. 248-539-9797. We'll talk to Dan Campbell coming up at 8:02.
Here's the other thing. When you're looking at whether or not the Lions will adjust their, the way that they're operating, are they going to continue to be aggressive? They can still be aggressive against teams like Dallas. They can be aggressive even against like the Bears
or the Steelers.
When they play, or the Steelers. What it comes down to when you're playing Green Bay and when you're playing the Rams, do you feel the need because of the way the defense is playing? And maybe by the time they play the Rams, the offensive line is gelling, and you're looking at a different situation.
Yeah, maybe.
You're allowed to adjust. But right now, I think the adjustment has to be, hey, if you're at midfield, instead of going for it on 4th and 3, the best decision might be actually playing field position battle because you have one of the better punters in the NFL, and you can pin a team inside the 10-yard line, make them go 90 yards against this defense.
So that's the best answer. Like sometimes when we have coaches on, I try to think, like, how are they going to answer this question? The best answer is, well, it's going to depend on who we play, and we're going to do whatever we have to do that week to win. But that means there will be some weeks where you shouldn't be as aggressive on 4th down. Like, think about with the Eagles. The Eagles did not march up and down the field against the Lions. Far from it. But they leaned on their front. They leaned on their defense. They took some field goals. And if you're looking in the NFC right now, I don't think the Eagles offense is elite. I don't think the Green Bay Packer offense is elite. In those games, maybe it is race to 20. And maybe in those spots you are begrudgingly, against your nature, kicking one of them stupid field goals you got to settle for. Putting a kicker on the field.
Taking the 3 points.
Nobody likes it.
No.
Like, John, as an offensive player, I'm sure you were like, let's go for it. These quarterbacks are always like, let's go for it. We can do it.
Sure, as a player, you love the mentality of being aggressive because you think as a player, I can't fail.
4th and 2, run it behind me.
Yeah, I mean that's the if you ask all 5 of those offensive linemen, hopefully the mindset is, hey, by a show of hands, Who wants me to run this ball behind him? Me, coach. Me, coach.
It's just that this group, they're not converting them.
No, and they're not converting them. The numbers bear it out. They're not converting them this year like they were in the previous 2 years, certainly like last year. And the third down conversion rate can be a little bit misleading because they're not always calling plays to convert a 3rd and 7 because they're willing to go 4th and 2, and they know it.
But that was the same as last year.
Right.
And the third, yes, some third downs you're playing for 4th down. They did that last year, and we're still elite on 3rd down.
On both.
Yeah, exactly. And this year, even if they're doing it, they're not.
Right.
What else we got on the text here? Paying JMO has nothing to do with the state of the line. We're paying a left and right tackle high-level money. I think I tried to make it a JMO issue. They shouldn't have paid JMO.
No, I think the issue was, signing JMO in the middle of the night before the season starts, and then on the horizon, you're going to have Brian Branch, Gibbs, Laporta, Jack Campbell. I mean, it was an epic draft, and they're all going to be coming due at about the same time.
As of this morning, guys, the Lions are actually 1.5 favorites over the Rams, Jay and Heartland. I haven't seen that. That would mean they're favored
in all of them.
Every game the rest of the way. Pretty safe to say it's not a Super Bowl caliber team, which kind of puts the damper on the rest of the season for me. Derek in Brighton, he says, of course I'll still watch, but the bar has been raised, and it's disappointing that the O-line has been this bad.
Okay. They're not a Super Bowl favorite, and I don't think anybody right now is going to pick them to win the Super Bowl, but it doesn't mean that they can't.
Yeah, I don't think it's a situation where they're disqualified.
No, I'm not going to remove them from the conversation. They've moved down the list.
Yeah, they're just probably in that tier 2 of the NFC right now. And as this texter puts it, it puts them in a position of being the hunters and not the hunted. Said it worked for them in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Says no analytics or practice other than gut feeling, but I think they can play up that chip.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what type of adjustments the coaching staff is willing to make when guys are going to be back as a part of this defense, who they're playing. It all plays a part.
All right, we're going to get a chance to pick Dan Campbell's brain and get a little bit of perspective on where the Lions go from here. They're going to play the New York Giants this week at home, 1 o'clock kick. The last scheduled 1 o'clock kick of the season. A bunch of big games coming up. Green Bay Packers on Thanksgiving Day. It's 97-1.
Brought to you by Paulson's Audio and Video. The Pistons, with a 127-112 win over the Pacers last night, extend their win streak to 10 games. They're the first team in the league with a double-digit win streak this season. Detroit at 12-2 holds the best record in the East and second-best record in all of basketball behind only the Thunder, who are coincidentally the only team in the league with a higher defensive rating than Detroit. We've heard J.B. Bickerstaff talk a lot about defense being this team's identity. It's the first thing he said again post-game last night, but he also mentioned Detroit's mentality on offense. Pistons currently lead the NBA in percentage of points in the paint. They will look to dominate the painted area again tonight against the Hawks over on WWJ at 7:30. The Red Wings are back on 97.1 tonight for a 7 o'clock puck drop against the Seattle Kraken. And we also had some Monday Night Football last night. The Cowboys handled the Raiders easily 33-16. Dak Prescott, 268 passing yards and 4 TDs. From the Corewell Health Sports Desk, I'm Brendan Shabath. For more, visit 97.1 The Ticket or Odyssey.com.
Today's football coverage presented by Paramount Plus. You can't count on much, but you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. Watch your local NFL game every Sunday. Visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to get started today. Do a college football roundup coming up at 8:35 this morning with Greg Palm. Head of the rankings tonight. Greg's top 12 teams based on all his numbers and facts and figures. And wins of wins of wins. We'll get to that at 8:35. Let's talk to Lions head coach Dan Campbell. Dan, always great to catch up. Good morning.
Good morning. How's it going?
Good. As the dust settles from Sunday night, how are you feeling about it?
Well, I mean, look, I'm on to the Giants, so I feel a lot better right now. But I mean, that's it's a bad taste in your mouth. We didn't do enough to win, so that that doesn't sit well. But I also know the things that happen are correctable, and we're going to learn from that, man. Now we know we got it face to face. We know what it looks like, and you learn, man. You better, right? I mean,
right.
When you fail, that's the best way to improve and move forward, man. You learn from it, you grow, and you get better.
When you look at this game, and obviously the big storyline is, 0 for 5 on fourth downs. The third down conversions haven't been there this year. With the defense playing the way that they are, and some of the struggles you've had on the offensive line, have you considered modifying the aggressiveness of which you decide to go for it on fourth down and play for a little bit more field position, or go for the points and field goals when the opportunity presents itself?
Yeah, I look at everything, and I come out of those games, and I think about everything. I look at everything. I try not to play the hindsight game, but and so I know this. No matter what we do, how we go here, just like we've done going on, I guess, year 5 now, we're going to play to the strength of our team. However that goes, and you learn, you evolve as you go. As the season goes, you figure out who you are and truly what your strengths are, and you adapt and you adjust. Every game you have to adjust, and the opponent is different every week. So you do that. But now the other night was also pretty unique too because of the weather. There was some wind, and we were in no man's land a little bit on some of those. And no matter what your team is, it's hard for me to punt on the 35-yard line, 36-yard line. But yet that wind is stiff, and I don't think that's all that fair either to Bates. So, man, it's 4th and 2. We're going 4th and 3. I like our skill players. I like our quarterback. I like the play. We can hold up in pro, and it didn't work out.
You mentioned play to the strengths of your teams. If you were to sit down and make the pros and cons of what your team and how it's made up and how you've seen them perform through 10 games, what are some of those that you would classify as strengths of your team?
Well, I think we're an explosive offense. We have explosive skill players. We have a quarterback that can put it on the money and can facilitate the ball to those skill players. I think our freaking defense is playing outstanding right now. I think our front seven and our back end is sticky, man. Rushing coverage, we stop the run. We have the right balance over there. Shep's doing a hell of a job, that whole defensive staff. But we can stop the run. We can cover backs, tight ends. We can cover their receivers. And we can make it a hard, long day for them over there. And I like our coverage units, man, on special teams. Right now, we got to get more efficient in the run game on offense, and our return game in special teams, we can be so much better. So we just amp that up a little bit, get more consistent. That's going to go a long way for us.
Goff had some issues with accuracy. How would you diagnose what happened? Was he getting rattled? I know he's played with the glove before. Was that giving him any issues? What did you see?
No, he's played with the glove plenty. I mean, that thing, sometimes it's one of those games, It's just one of those games, and things are just a little bit off, and and sometimes if things aren't on with one player or another, the other player, the other players can pick up the slack a little bit, and maybe it goes unnoticed, or the play still gets made, and we're all excited because the play was made, and it was a huge play. But when everything is just off a little bit, from that to the pressures that are there, or the precision of the routes, man, the depth, the technique, all of these to my play calls, then, man, it doesn't help. It doesn't help, and it becomes the perfect storm. And we were a little off and just couldn't ever really find it, find that true balance. And that was it. And at the end of the day, we didn't play our best ball on offense. We had a chance to win that game. That's what's encouraging.
As a play caller, you go into it with a game plan, and we've talked about this before. When you've come up short in the scoring column, a lot of times it's, hey, you're throwing the ball way too much. As a play caller, when did this game start to get away from the game plan as you went into it? When did you have to start deviating from the game plan?
Well, I think, when you're down 2 scores, that's where it gets a little more difficult. Now, you don't want to stress either. Our defense is playing good. You're still in it, but yet down 2 scores, the defense they're not even worried about the run game anymore. Now early, I think what makes it hard too, we ran it 4 times in a row and we got stuck. And, so you're trying to give your run game a chance to get going and set the tone. And, we weren't able to convert. And so then, that changes your thought process a little bit too. You don't want to go away from the runs yet, man. Let's get it in the hands of our playmakers here if we can, facilitate it, and get it to Gibbs and J-Mo, and then try to target Saint. And it just didn't, we just weren't able to really connect on a consistent basis. That's all.
I'm curious, the fake punt.
Yeah, that didn't go over too well, did it?
No, it didn't. What was the thinking behind that? What did you see maybe on film? And should it have been aborted when Philly left their first defense on the field?
No, we wanted that. And, we felt like there was enough consistent looks to where we were going to be able to get that. We knew it'd be a little bit of a bloodbath, but yet we felt good about the looks going in that week. And look, 2 things. They did a good job. They were ready, and we were not as good as we can be blocking that up front either.
Dan, I was surprised at the half. You had all 3 timeouts. When A.J. Brown picks up the first down, you got all 3. What was the thought in not trying to go double up and score before the half, get the ball out of the half?
Yeah, I did. I thought about it. I did. I thought long and hard, and I just felt like, man, we're getting the ball after halftime. Let's just calm down, reset, reload at halftime, come out, and we'll do that. And it was really just that, with where we were in the game and how it was going, and I just wanted to reset and knowing we were getting the ball back. That's all. But I did. I thought about it for a while, but just didn't do it.
The O-line has struggled. You mentioned already, you got to get the run game going. But against the better defenses, Green Bay, Kansas City, Philly, what adjustments are you looking for, maybe as a play caller, or what are you looking to do? Are there any changes that you need to make against some of those top defenses moving forward?
Well, ultimately, to get that game, the run game going, you're just trying to mix up your schemes a little bit. Is it perimeter? Is it wide zone? Is it gap? Is it trap? And you want to be able to really figure out what that is. But when you don't convert on 3rd down, there again, you go in early. I try to run it on 4 downs, and we don't get it. And then after that, if you don't pick up a positive gain on 1st or 2nd down where you're into the pass, it's hard, and we tried to run it on 3rd down a little bit. So ultimately, at the end of the day, without the conversions, it's hard to really keep bouncing around on the run game, and figure out what really is the right thing, the right balance. And so that's where we just, we got to convert here. And honestly, we had manageables. We had 3rd and 4th down and manageable. We weren't able to execute, And there again, man, I would love to have. There's a number of calls I want back so bad that I didn't give our guys a chance.
Dan, where do you get your confidence from? Like, as doubt creeps in our world, like you think about the questions we're asking and some of the losses that you've had this year. I can't imagine you're a guy that's down in the dumps. Where does that confidence come from?
I've been in this a long time as a player and a coach, and I just know what it looks like. And I know what happens as the season goes on. And some of this stuff, all the sparkly toys, man, all the shine that's on a lot of things that shine begins to come off on a number of teams. And the ones that just look like clunkers or not what they're supposed to be or underperforming, all of a sudden they start doing what they do. They get hot. They find themselves. and then they're unstoppable. And I just know, man, you roll through the season like we did last year, you get, 2 wins and anything over, 2 losses. Anything over 2 losses this year was going to, on the outside world, was going to be, it was going to be looked at as negative. We can't worry about that. And I told our team, you can't worry about it. We got to worry about playing our best ball and just don't worry about what's outside. Just worry about the opponent in front of you and how do we improve every week as a team in all 3 units. And we will play to the strength of our team, man. And because ultimately that's what it comes down to. You learn something every game. You learn something every big game you're in about yourself, your team, what to do, what not to do. And we're going to be better for all this. I believe that, man. We need a little bit of this where we got to sharpen ourselves and go through the fire to get better.
He's Lions head coach Dan Campbell. Dan, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Dan.
You bet. Have a good one.
It's 97.1.
Hey, I want to highlight the great value your Metro Detroit Buick GMC dealers are bringing you this month. Maybe you need a new truck in the driveway. Who doesn't? Get Motor City's hottest truck, the GMC Sierra 1500 Elevation, for an unbelievable $199 per month. Another thrilling option is the GMC Sierra EV, built to exceed what you thought an electric truck could be with over 600 horsepower. I'll say that again, 600 horsepower, and that comes standard. These deals are happening right now at any of your 20 Metro Detroit Buick GMC dealers. GM estimated horsepower rating based on due at signing amount of $3,369. Must be a current lessee of a 2020 model year or newer Buick or GMC vehicle through GM Financial for at least 30 days prior to the new vehicle sale. Tax, title, license, dealer fees are extra. No security deposit required. Mileage charge of 25 cents per mile over 20,000 miles at participating dealers only. Residency restrictions apply. If you want more details, visit gmcofferinfo.com. That's gmcofferinfo.com.
1800 Tequila is the official tequila of the Detroit Lions, and they're hooking up the fans of the Detroit Lions with tickets. Listen, we know how expensive Lions tickets have gotten. 1800 Tequila, proud partner of the Detroit Lions, giving away Lions tickets for a future game. Here's what you're going to want to do. Go to 971theticket.com for details. Click on the ticket event page. Come out and enjoy tequila and a chance to win tickets to a future Lions game. With how expensive these tickets have gotten, you can't miss your chance. Make 1800 Tequila part of your game day lineup all season long. Victory never tasted so good. 1800 Tequila, proud partner of the Detroit Lions. Please drink responsibly. Got some feedback coming in on what Dan Campbell had to say. I also want to shout out the Pistons, who won their 10th in a row last night. Jalen Duren, 31-15. He's starting to shoot the jumper a little bit, too, and you know he's a menace at the rim. Pistons without Cade Cunningham, without Asar Thompson, without Tobias Harris, just keep beating people. Longest win streak since the 07-08 season. And it's been a total team effort. Nine different Pistons have scored at least 20 in a game this season. 5 different Pistons have scored at least 25, including Dennis Jenkins. Hey, man, keep rolling. I don't care if the East is down. Beat up on a bad East.
Just keep winning.
Yeah.
Beat up on a bad East during the regular season. Beat up on a bad East in the postseason.
Yeah, I'm not going to feel bad if they make a run because the East is down.
Yeah, boy, I'd hate to see them in the NBA Finals because they just happen to be the best team of the NBA East.
And that's what we kind of counted on this year. That was their hope for this year. The East is down with Halliburton and Tatum injuries.
So someone's got to capitalize, and if the Pistons are that team, we're not going to take anything away from them.
What's the alternative? Oh, they couldn't capitalize on a bad East?
Right.
Yes, they lost to a bad East.
And if the point is, well, the East is bad, they'll get exposed in the NBA Finals?
Yeah. So
you're breaking news to me. We're going to be in the NBA Finals?
Yeah.
I was just thinking of, because I looked at who the top 2 teams are, and like an Oklahoma City Detroit Finals, and that's a long way away, would be an interesting finals because we've talked about the kindredship of these two franchises. They both have exciting, volatile home court atmospheres. It would be an interesting final.
Homegrown rosters.
And both teams play really good defense.
Yep.
Do you guys think Troy Weaver would go to a game?
God, do I still have that in the system where he's yelling at the fan? I don't think I do.
Yeah, is that you suck at your job?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yes.
How long ago does that seem like?
Like ages.
Yeah.
That's less than 2 years ago.
2 years, yeah.
Like, think about it. For the hardcore fans of this team who you suffer through 28 consecutive losses, this is the payoff.
Yeah.
Well, somebody texted in earlier that they're going to win 28 in a row right now.
It sure feels like it, doesn't it?
There's no end in sight.
No, I mean, you look at at who they're going to play, and you're like, well, I mean, okay, we're getting way ahead of ourselves, but you don't look at it and go, well, they're going to drop that one.
To borrow a term I use in Greg Palm, there's no roadblock games.
Yeah, look, they could lose on a back-to-back tonight on the road. It's the NBA. I also don't know. Maybe they're going to get somebody back, and they'll keep winning.
Yeah, like Cade?
That'd make a big difference. I mean, he elevates them. He has.
There you go.
Found it. Yeah, it's a completely different lifetime.
I mean, what is this Dennis Jenkins thing?
He's on a Linsanity run. Don't question it.
Just enjoy it.
And how much credit does Trajan get for finding him?
Plenty. I mean, he's done a great job filling out those bench slots. Like even last year, Schroeder was a sneaky good ad.
Yeah, and we were kind of disappointed, like he doesn't bring him back. And okay, the whole Beasley thing, right? That was out of Trajan's control. But
Jenkins is filling that void right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we were talking earlier about this, and we'd said we're going to ask Pistons fans or all of our listeners in 2 Grand Slam Thursday, what jersey number does Dennis Jenkins wear?
Yeah.
Or what Piston wears jersey number 24, one or the other.
Right.
Yeah. So look it up. I think most people will have to.
And Greg's favorite number 24?
Tremaine Fulks from the 2014.
It's so obscure.
You know that.
I've got that Wheaties box, and I see him. He's
right there.
Yeah.
He's right.
I have the 89 Pistons Championship Wheaties box, and it's still got the cereal in it.
No.
Yeah. I got a 97 Michigan one. It still has the cereal in it.
Is it just half a box? All right.
Oh, did you see how his face immediately?
John, you knew.
He would scowl in an instant. That was incredible. That was on a tee for you too. Well done.
And same response.
It's one of those.
When I give you the pot knot on your forehead, it'll be a full mark of the championship ring.
I apologize.
No, you don't.
Why are
He
people-
doesn't threaten me
Liar.
with violence when I make those cracks.
Well, you got a diploma from the school, so maybe you're allowed to.
I'm a Walmarty.
There you go. These texts kill me. Seriously, you guys are talking about the finals. Jinx this team. Change the topic. We're just having fun, buddy.
Right.
Lighten up.
And I don't think any of us have said here and said it's an easy path to the NBA finals.
No. We simply said if the drawback is, who are they beating? Is the East any good? Well, if they keep doing it, they would be in the finals and no one would be complaining because they beat a bad East. We'd be celebrating a chance to win a championship, of which there is still very much lots of work to do.
Right. We haven't yet had the topic of if they don't reach the finals, it's a failure.
No, we are not there.
Too soon?
Yes.
Guys,
Still got that Walmart bag on your head?
Great value. That's their brand. I'm a great value Wolverine.
All right. Greg Palm, top 12 teams in college football. Take some inventory at 8:35. First, Heather with the news.
So Cade Cunningham is now the 6th active NBA player to have a signature shoe.
Oh, wow.
Very exciting. He's reached a new 6-year endorsement deal to re-sign with Nike, and with that will come his own shoe. It's expected to debut during the second half of the 26-27 season, and he basically just said he's still processing how meaningful this is, but called it incredible.
That's awesome.
Yeah, very cool.
I hate to do the John thing. Do you know who the 6 are? The other 5?
Yes. Give me a second.
I'm just curious the company.
LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Ja Morant, Devin Booker, and Giannis.
Is that how you say his last name?
It is now.
Yes. Yes. Da-da-da-da-da.
I'm not going to butcher all of it. So those are the others. Yes. The estate of O.J. Simpson has finally, or I guess officially, agreed to pay nearly $58 million to the father of Ron Goldman, decades after Simpson was acquitted for killing Goldman and his ex-wife. So after being acquitted in 1994, a civil court jury found him liable in 1997. In this wrongful death lawsuit, ordered him to pay the families of both Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman $33.5 million. Then in 2021, a judge ordered Simpson to pay Goldman $58 million. Of course, really none of it ever got paid, and we'll see if it does happen now. But anyway, it's acknowledgement. They say that's about all it is until they get some money. So this is interesting. There's apparently a new way to change a diaper. Have you ever changed a baby's diaper, Jim?
No.
I didn't think so, but
I don't plan on it.
What? Nephews, nieces?
No, I mean, I have some cousins with young children, but no, I have not changed the diapers.
yeah. Well, apparently there's a new way to change diapers. If you ever do, you have to make sure you have their consent before you change their diaper.
How does that go?
All right, little baby. Is it
Sign
okay
here.
if I change your diaper now?
What?
No, I'm being serious. According to new evidence by early childhood developmental researchers in Australia, parents should ask their baby for consent before changing their diapers. And experts say parents should basically talk through a diaper change because obviously babies can't speak. They cannot give you a yes or no, but you basically talk them through it and you give them a second to kind of like look at you like a some sort of a cue, and then you go on and change their diaper.
And when they're squirming because they don't want you to change their diaper, are you just supposed to let them wallow around in a pile of poo?
Apparently so, because you didn't get their consent, John.
How stupid is this?
Unbelievable.
It's really ridiculous. Apparently whoever wrote this has never changed a
Sure,
baby's
that way
diaper.
kids can understand at 2 that they run the show.
Apparently, it's really not about getting their consent because you really won't as an infant. It's more symbolic. It's about building
Symbolism. My God.
respect, teaching them about, bodily autonomy and Anyway, from day one. And of course, all the critics are saying this is absolutely ridiculous.
Yes, it
When
is.
a baby needs to be changed, they should be changed. Don't let them sit in their dirty diaper. This is an interesting story. A 10-year-old in Tennessee stole his mom's car the other day and also managed to get his father arrested all at once.
Okay.
So he'd been arguing with his mom. She left him in the car while she dropped off some paperwork at his school. And when she came back, the car was gone. So the 10-year-old jumped into the driver's seat, drove it about 2 miles back home, parked it in the garage. He was safe and sound. But once she realized it was gone, the mom called the cops. They showed up at the home. They said, you know what, you're 10. We're not going to arrest you. But while they were talking to Dad, they realized he actually had an outstanding warrant.
Oh, boy.
They arrested him, and he's facing charges of wire fraud and theft.
Oh, boy.
Dad had no idea what was going on. He's like, my son just showed up. I don't know what's happening.
It's a rough day.
Really? I've got one more. KFC wants you to eat fried chicken on Thanksgiving instead of turkey. And they just added this new festive feast meal. It comes with a bucket of chicken, mashed potatoes, biscuits, and a flight of 3 different gravies.
Oh.
Yeah. Brown gravy, white peppercorn gravy, and a new one called Southwest Cheddar gravy.
Oh, cheddar.
Yeah, and apparently,
make it all better.
In their whole press release, they did share this poll that found 35% of Americans don't like turkey. So here you go. Head on over to KFC this
There's a
Thanksgiving.
reason we only eat it
Weird
once a year.
people. You're weird.
We'll fight about it between now and the day.
You're weird.
Me and 30-some% of people.
Yeah, all weird.
All right, Greg Palm next, 97.1.
Hey, what's up, Detroit? It's your girl, Heather, and I'm always looking for ways to stay on top of my game, right? So listen, you know how much I rely on my phone for everything. That's why I've got to tell you about this insane deal from Verizon that'll help you be your best self, too. We're talking a low price on the best 5G in Detroit. Seriously, whether I'm blasting my favorite tracks on the morning commute or snagging those last-minute tickets to the hottest new flick. Check this out. You can switch today and pay just $50 a month for a single line. You heard me right, $50 a month for the best 5G in Detroit when you bring your own phone on the unlimited welcome plan with autopay plus taxes and fees. That's a no-brainer, people. Visit your nearest Detroit Verizon store today to lock in this incredible deal. $20 monthly promo credits applied over 36 months with a new line on unlimited welcome. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G and 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. Rankings based on Root Metrics Root Score report dated 2H 2024. Your results may vary. Additional terms apply.
The Red Tag sales event is on at Moran Chevrolet, which means it's the perfect time to elevate your tailgating game at Moran. That's Michigan's #1 selling Chevy dealer. How about Silverado? The 2026 Silverado four-wheel drive LT Crew Cab starting at $189 a month. That's zero down for GM employees and immediate family members. Silverado, you know the deal. Built for tailgates, hunting trips, and hauling it all. Head to MoranExpress.com or stop by. They're on Gratiot, just north of 15 Mile in Clinton Township. Moran Chevrolet, where you always get the best price, period. Chevrolet, together, let's drive. Good morning, 97.1. Jim Costa, John Jansen, Heather Park, Gov and Greg behind the glass, Brendan Shabath on the updates. We had Dan Campbell join us earlier in the show. And, John, I want you to play detective. You asked a great question, maybe the question for people, which is, do the Lions need to change the way they approach fourth downs? They aren't the team they were last year. They aren't converting third downs or fourth downs at the same clip. And while those gambles were paying off, they aren't. Not at the same rate. Your defense looks pretty good. You're going to get some reinforcements. Do they need to not radically alter fourth downs, but just kind of rein them in a little bit? You asked Dan Campbell that question, and I want you to tell me what you make of this answer. What do you make of the answer? Do you feel like he's open to shifting the way they do things? Because that's what I took out of that.
Yeah. I mean, so his answer is, and I wrote it down at the moment, play to the strengths of our team. And then I followed it up with, what are the strengths of your team?
It's a good follow-up.
And he said, defense obviously is playing at a very high level. And he talked about the playmakers they have around you. The one thing he didn't say was the offensive line, which
Correct.
is, and I didn't expect him to. Like, it's clearly, he would lose all credibility if he sat there and talked about the strength of this team is the offensive line. So I wasn't expecting that. But knowing that and then pointing out that the strength of this team is the way that the defense is playing, field position matters. Now, okay, if you're caught in no man's land where, you're not going to punt from the 35-yard line, but the weather dictates that you're not going to kick a field goal. I get that. All right, so that's one of the five.
Fine. And there are, to his point, different opponents, different needs week to week. But we're going to talk generally speaking, and we want to hear from Lions fans on this. Do you want to see them shift back a notch on the aggressive? Do you want them to be a little more conservative? To Dan's word choice, do you want to see them play to the strengths of this roster better? Like, John, they're going to face the Giants this week. One of the strengths of the Giants team is their defensive line, right?
Yes.
So if it's 4th and 3, am I going to go for it? No, I'm going to pin it deep and make a rookie quarterback beat me, right?
Yes.
Now, if it's 4th and 1 at the goal line, just give it to David Montgomery and go for it. But if I'm at midfield and they got a great D-line and our offensive line is taking on water, I'm going to punt and play defense.
Yeah, punt, play defense. And, I mean, I sound like a broken record when I say this, but when you have Jack Fox, like, we've gone games where he hasn't punted at all, and that's great.
Yeah.
But when he does, is he not one of the top 2 or 3 punters in the NFL?
It's very good.
And so he's good at being able to flip the field. Got great hang time, great distance. He's really good at pinning teams inside the 10-yard line, whether it's the, quote-unquote coffin kick and he kicks it out of bounds, or he just, there's enough hang time, it's a fair catch at the 10-yard line. Like, that is a huge weapon. And so if your defense is playing the way that it is, and you're punting from from the other team's 45-yard line, you should be able to pin that team inside the 10, and now all of a sudden they got to go 90 yards on this defense. I'm not saying it's not going to happen.
It will.
It can happen, and it will, but it's not likely. Those odds are in your favor. If you're a team that's playing on analytics, and it's, hey, well, you get more points if you score a touchdown than a field goal. Yep, I know. It's more points to shoot a three-pointer than it is a 2. right? It's all of those things are obvious, but if your offense is struggling at whether it's red zone, it's third down, it's fourth down, you're struggling at putting points on the board against good defenses. And I'm not talking about Washington. I'm not talking about Cleveland. I'm not talking about some of these other teams. It is against Green Bay. It's against Kansas City, and it's against Philly. Those are the playoff teams or the type of teams that you're going to play in the postseason.
Yeah, call it what it is. If this team wants to win a Super Bowl, they're going to have to play differently, right? Because it's not going to work with this offensive line and asking them to win you football games against the type of fronts you're going to see week over week in the playoffs. So they do need to shift. Like, John, as a rule of thumb, I like going for it. I love what Dan Campbell has brought to this city and to the NFL. Going for it, aggressive. You're trying to take it to the other team.
Yeah, you got a whole podcast on gambling. You like to gamble.
Exactly. But if you're going to go for it, you got to execute. And I think the issue is they don't execute at the same clip because of their offensive line. So those gambles are longer shots. So what do? You find a different way to win. Campbell has come on this show and spoke at the podium in the past about we got to find different ways to win. And he said with us today, you got to play to your strengths. To me, that means certain weeks, certain opponents, certain situations, Campbell's going to have to be less aggressive on fourth down.
Yes, because in previous years, when you had one of the top three offensive lines and it's 4th and 2, hey, bully ball. You hand the ball. I don't care if it was Montgomery. I don't care if it was Reynolds. I don't care if it was Gibbs. You're going to pick up that fourth more times than not just because your badasses are better than their badasses.
To that point, last year, 4th in the NFL on fourth down conversion percentage. This year, 14th. Last year on third down, 4th in the NFL converting thirds. Well, it makes sense. The offensive line was better. This year, they're 27th on third down. So, punt and play defense. It's not fun. It's not exciting or sexy, but they're going to have to do it more often, and we're going to have to deal with it because it's their best path to winning a Super Bowl. Not just week to week in the regular season, but I think even more so in the postseason.
Yeah.
Let's get to Paul in Grosse Pointe. You're on 97.1.
Hey, guys.
What's going on?
I think I want, and you kind of said some of this stuff just now, but I want the Lions to stay aggressive. I want them to be the team that uses the talent that they've grown, and by talent I mean the skill of going for it on fourth down. Yeah, they're not as great, but they've done it more than anyone. They're more practiced. They're more experienced. I think of it like an MMA fighter who's excellent at grappling. You know, they practice it. They're really good at it, and I want them to keep that. But in MMA, you just don't grapple the whole time. You throw some kicks, you throw some punches. If your grappling isn't working, you throw a few punches. Like, I want Dan Campbell to be able to leverage other tools in his tool belt to win games, and I feel like he didn't do that against Philly. He's like, I'm a grappler, I'm going to grapple. Like, you got to throw some kicks. You got to make some distance at some point. You got to do something else to win certain fights, and I feel like I want him to learn to leverage some of those outside skills that aren't your bread and butter. I still want fourth downs and winning on third and fourth downs to be their heart, but do some other things sometimes if it's what it takes to win that fight.
I think that's well said.
Mm-hmm.
Like, John, I'm thinking about Kansas City this year. They were 0 for on fourth down.
Yeah.
Philly, they were 0 for on fourth down. I know it's easy to text in and say, well, if they got it, you guys would be happy. You're right. They're just not getting them.
Right. And how many times are you going to go to that well and just keep coming up dry?
Right. If I felt like they had a good chance of converting them, then I'd want to go for them. I don't feel that way. Not against the best teams they play. Mm-hmm. Phone calls, texts, 248-539-9797. We'll roll this conversation over to the next hour. It's 97.1.
Brought to you by National Benefit Plans of Shelby Township. The Pistons will face the Atlanta Hawks tonight after last night's 127-112 win over the Indiana Pacers. Last night's win extended Detroit's win streak to 10 games, their longest since 2008. They'll face a Hawks team that is without Trae Young with a knee injury. However, Atlanta has actually been better without Young, and they're on a 5-game win streak of their own. Tip-off tonight is at 7:30 over on WWJ. Pre-game coverage starts at 7:05. Right here on The Ticket, the Wings will be back in action tonight after a fun 2-1 win and post-game brawl against the Rangers Rangers on Sunday. The Wings are 11-7-1 and second in the Atlantic Division this year. Tonight they will host the Seattle Kraken at Little Caesars Arena, who enter with a 9-4-5 record after back-to-back wins over the Jets and Sharks. Puck drop at 7 o'clock. We've also got some college basketball on the docket tonight. At 3-0 on the season, Michigan State is in New York City for tonight's Champions Classic. They will tip off at 6:30 p.m. against number 12 Kentucky, who will be looking to avenge a close loss to number 12 Louisville last week. And number 24 Kansas and number 5 Duke will close the Champions Classic at the Garden tonight at 9 o'clock. At the Coldwell Health Sports Desk, I'm Brendan Shabath. For more, visit 97.1 The Ticket or Odyssey.com.
Dan Campbell telling us today he will play to the strengths of his football team. We ask you, does that mean less aggressive on fourth down? 248-539-9797. Is that their best path to win a Super Bowl, is to make a midseason adjustment? Not to turn into fraidy cats on 4th and 1, but just generally speaking, more Jack Fox and more of this defense. John, the strength of this team right now is their defense. 6th in the NFL in sacks. How about on the money down, getting off the field? 4th in the NFL on third down defense. You play field position, you let McNeil and Hutch, and you get Kirby Joseph back to pair with Brian Branch. Jack Campbell's having an all-pro season at the linebacker spot. They have had a really nice jump on the defensive side of the ball this year. That means no Sam Laporta, missing a couple dudes on the O-line. You're not converting the thirds or the fourths at the same clip. I know it's as easy as just go execute. If they don't have the personnel to execute at the same level, they're not the same team they were last year. You change the way you play.
So I unearthed this one little stat here. I want to see if it's something or nothing, and it plays to the defense being a strength, but turnovers. So the first 5 games this season, they were +6. They were 4-1. The last 5, they're 2-3, and they're a -1 turnover differential. And it's not like they're turning over the ball a ton, but they haven't been forcing them.
Right.
And Dan's big, and I kind of in hindsight wish I would have had that earlier for you. Just the inability to force turnovers. Kirby Joseph, Greg, thank you, is a key element in that, and he hasn't been there. So, shorter fields help offenses. The Chicago Bears lead the NFL in turnover differential at +16. The next closest team is +10. They're benefiting from it big time, but they're not turning the ball over. They only have I think it's 4 or 6 turnovers it's 6 all season. So, I'm not trying to pin that necessarily on Goff, because that was not his fault the other day. The batted.
No, but let's talk about Goff, okay? Because I know there's going to be a response of, what are we paying this guy for if we have to punt the ball on 4th and short and we can't go for it, or 4th and manageable? We have to punt now. What are we paying Goff for? When you pay Goff, you make a covenant with the football gods that you're going to put an offensive line in front of him. Because if you don't, you've wasted Jared Goff. You've set him up for failure. And
you've
if
got a statue that is just going to get beat up.
So if you don't hold up your end of the bargain about putting an offensive line in front of this guy, then you can't act like you have an elite quarterback.
Well, and to go a step further, you've got to have the protection for your quarterback, but you also can't get the ball downfield to all these playmakers that Dan Campbell talked about, because you don't have time in the pocket. It takes time for J-Mo to get downfield as fast as he is.
He doesn't teleport.
Right. It takes time for him to be able to get downfield. Even those deeper crossing routes, it takes time for him to get open. You've got to have time in the pocket for him to get downfield so you can even throw the ball down there.
How about this part of it, like an adjustment? 1st and 2nd down become more important. 3rd down becomes more important if you stop assuming you're going to go for it on 4th down. Adds urgency to explosives in the early play calls. And that's part of adjusting too, John, is, hey, if we're not going to go for it on 4th and 4, well, we got to do a better job on early downs.
Right, yeah. You'd rather be 3rd and 2 than 3rd and 5 and thinking, we're going to pick up 4 and I'll go for it on 4th and 1.
So that could be an adjustment too in playing to your strengths, is knowing, hey, we don't want to get into those money downs, and it's not the assumption that it used to be that we're just going to get them.
Right. And it can be as simple as, and I know everybody wants to run the ball more, I do as well. But on 1st down, if you're running a quick 4-yard route with any of the receivers, and or it's a screen pass to one of the backs, and you pick up 4 or 5 yards, that's no difference than handing the ball off to David Montgomery and picking up 4 yards. Like you can throw the ball quickly in those situations so that you don't have to protect for a long time.
Right.
You start to keep a defense on their heels, off beat, and now all of a sudden maybe the run game opens up. Now all of a sudden, hey, the protection seems to be a little bit easier, and you can throw the ball downfield later in the game.
I thought 2 of their best plays on Sunday night were short passes to Gibbs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because of what he can do when he has the ball in his hand and he's in space.
As often, and you let him go. And you can still play to your strength in that way. Let's get to Walter and Warren. Walter, you're on 97.1.
Good morning. Thank you guys for having me.
Of course.
So I think, look, I think he's not going to come out. It's a good question, obviously, because you got to ask it when you go 0 for whatever it was on Sunday night. But it is the identity of the team. But he acknowledges that at this point, yeah, we're probably going to have to look at it a little differently. I thought there was a couple times in that Philly game where, yeah, you play field position. Why would you not? That fake punt, that one really stung. It didn't really make much sense. And then they showed the replay. Their defense was still on the field. So it's like, how do you not see that?
He said they
liked
that. Walter, he said they liked that matchup.
Yeah, that's the matchup they were looking for.
I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but that's besides the point. Obviously, we have the advantage of hindsight there that, hey, it didn't work out. But I will say this, though. I think ultimately what it's going to have to come down to is mixing in those 2 running backs way more. I think I don't understand diverting away from Montgomery, who's literally your bell cow, who's the guy that goes up the gut, who's known to just fall forward. Kind of diverting from that is a little puzzling this late into the season. I feel like they're removing him from the game plan. And I get Gibbs is a dog. He's probably top 3 running backs in the league, but we're wearing him out to the point where once this push comes, is he going to have fresh legs like he did last year? Obviously, last year was a little different story. The defense was completely dead, but that's kind of what I'm worried about more than anything. And yes, you do have to adjust. You do have to make some changes. But I don't want the identity to go away. This is what this team is built on, being aggressive. But I think you start taking advantage of the defenses a little more. Line up like you're going for it. Try to get them to jump offside. If they don't, fine, punt it away. Take that delay of game. Let Jack Fox go out there and just boot it 60 yards like he normally does. So I think you start to manipulate the defenses with showing the look that you're going to go for it. They think you're going to go for it. That's your tendency, and that's how you break the tendency. And one last thing, if I may.
Yeah.
God, you know what really pisses me off about this offseason?
No.
Frank Ragnow retiring after the draft and after free agency. Like, I don't think we talk about that nearly enough. Don't get me wrong. The guy played with basically half a body for most of his career. But that is such a BS move on his part.
It's not.
And
it's not.
But I get it. But, all right, thank you guys. I'll hang up and listen.
Okay.
Doesn't sound like he does.
Yeah. No, it's not a BS move. That decision, we see it all the time where some guys will even wait until a day or two into training camp and be like, I can't do this anymore.
Sure, it's not ideal, but this isn't the Madden offseason progression where all the players retire all at the same time.
Right after the season.
Then you have the draft.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, nobody just, like, if you simulate, like, there's no retirements like in June?
He'll get a surprise.
I didn't know that. That'd be great. Where'd he go?
Oh, yeah, by the way, he's
mid-season? Someone who retired mid-season? Zadarius Smith?
Zadarius, yeah.
How about mid-game? Wasn't it Vontae Davis years ago who just mid-game was like, yo, deuces, I'm out. My career's over.
Yeah.
Antonio Brown, too, to an extent.
Oh, yeah.
He took his shirt off, too, or jersey. Hey, all kidding aside, and then some of that with that call, but we've kind of ignored or glossed over that Gibbs starts games. That's a pretty different big change from last season with the offense. Like, do you guys think there's anything to Montgomery setting the tone? Physicality?
I don't know. I mean, we talked about it at the end of last year. Should they go back to 50-50 split when Montgomery was out and Gibbs carried the load? And I know that I said, yeah, it should be more 50-50. And, Cookie's over here. No, he's the playmaker. Gibbs got to be on the field more. He's got to be 75-25.
He should get the majority of the touches.
I don't disagree.
He should, but in terms of just starting the game. So,
and I get what you're saying. That doesn't mean Montgomery doesn't have his role in spots, and his spots are short yardage and maybe early game. I'm open to that.
Funneling things through that way. That was a key element of what they did before, and I think we kind of just looked over. I don't know, John, you played the game. I don't know if there's something to the physicality that Montgomery runs with in terms of kind of setting the tone. We're going to be physical, and then we're going to put our toy out there.
So I don't necessarily play into that, no. Because the difference between last year and this year isn't, are we going to start Montgomery or are we going to start Gibbs? Who's going to get the first carry? It's the holes aren't as big as they were last year, and the push isn't as much as it was last year, and it's not as consistent.
I mean, this whole thing, we're just talking in a bunch of circles here. It's fact that the offensive line is what's holding this back. It's not an opinion. It's the number one thing. You can get on Goff. You can get on 1,000 different things.
Well,
but
I wanted to bring it back to that. I wanted to look at the 5 fourth downs from this last game and just kind of go through it quickly so we're all on the same page here. The first was a 4th and very short, and they ran with Gibbs, not Montgomery. That's what you're talking about. The second 4th down was a fake punt. None of us like that.
Right.
The third one, 4th one, and 5th were all passes, and it was 4th and more than a yard. So if I'm asking Goff behind this offensive line in a critical spot to convert those 4th downs repeatedly, I'm not playing to the strength of my football team. And the one specifically, it was 4th and nearly 4 at the goal line. Field goal doesn't give you the lead. You don't want to settle for a field goal. But this isn't 4th and a yard. This is 4th and basically 4. And yeah, Brock Wright's open. One problem. Quarterback didn't have time to get him.
Right.
So that's the adjustment we're talking about. If the Lions take 3 here and 3 there, no, it's against what we've been taught. It's against what has worked in the past, but they are not the team they've been in the past. So an adjustment is necessary. We have Red Wing tickets to give away this hour on the show for tonight's game. We have tickets for every home game on the Centennial season. Here's what you're going to want to do. Listen closely. When you hear Ned Ryerson from Groundhog Day say, Phil, you're going to call in. When you hear Phil, the drop, you're going to call in. Phone number's 248-539-9797. It's 97.1.
Hey, you hear the ads. This law firm's bragging about some giant verdict, and to them, it's a trophy. It's a big number, and that's good for them. But if you've just been in a car accident, what's it really do for you? Here's the truth about David Feminino. He wins big, but he also knows it's not about the headlines. It's about you. That money pays your medical bills. It keeps your family steady, and it matters only because you need it. That's the difference. With David, it's never about showing off. It's about fighting for you. You can give David a call at 855-65-CRASH or visit him on the web at getdavidgetpaid.com.
I have a cornucopia of text to read for you, John.
Oh, boy.
Talking about the Lions, they need to change how they play to have the best chance at a Super Bowl, lean more on the defense, less aggressive on fourth downs. Guys, I think we need to stop talking Super Bowl with this team. It's not happening. I personally don't believe they'll even make the playoffs. They'll lose 2 of the 3 remaining division games, lose to the Rams, and a shootout with Dallas could go either way. They'll end up 10-7 or 9-8.
Well, that's one way to look at it.
Hey, guys, appreciate your expertise. The bottom line, they need a new quarterback if they're going to make a Super Bowl run. He's accurate, but there's too many deficiencies. Elite defenses, especially outdoors, he can't get it done. There's a reason LA traded him.
All right, I'll ask this question again. Is it because you know exactly who Jared Goff is? What are his strengths? What are his weaknesses? So you try and build the team around and minimize the weaknesses. His number one weakness is he's not going to outrun anyone. He's not going to avoid a lot of hits. He's just as a statue in the pocket. So what does that mean? You've got to build an offensive line. They've Goff-proofed this offense. We've talked about it. You've got Gibbs. You've got Laporte. You've got Amon-Ra St. Brown. You've got J-Mo. You've got all the weapons to throw the ball to. But what does that do for you if you can't protect him? He's not going to escape the pocket. So what's easier?
So when people hear that, they think we're making excuses for him.
No, I'm
we
not.
Just know
it's
who
just
he
who he is.
Yeah.
And so you have to build the offensive line. It has to be able to protect the quarterback that that's his weakness. He's really good at picking apart defenses when he's standing back there in a clean pocket. Really good, almost at an elite level. And so is it easier to build that offensive line, or is it easier to replace your franchise quarterback?
It's easier to replace the offensive line than to start all over at the quarterback position.
And you don't have to replace the offensive line. You just have to strengthen it and continue to make sure that injuries are going to happen. We saw it on the defensive line last year. It's going to happen on the offensive line. It is happening this year. Maybe not to the level that it happened last year, but you've got to be able to have competent backups in there. You've got to have guys that are really good at their jobs, center, guards, tackles. And we don't have that right now.
John, we had the call who went at Ragnow.
Yeah.
There's more of that on the ticket text. John, shut up. Ragnow screwed this team. Clown take to say otherwise. I gave the Lions a pass on this season because of that slime Ragnow. You're not going to sit here and tell me that trash was cool. No thanks. Slime.
All right, if that's your take, you're all a-holes. That's just simply what it is. There are different seasons throughout the course of an NFL year. There's the preseason, there's the regular season, there's the postseason, and when you're a veteran like Frank is, there's surgery season. And it's going to take some time for you to recover from the season, and it doesn't line up all the time with when the draft is or when free agency is. When that decision comes and you are as healthy as you're going to be and you don't feel like I can perform for another season, or you just don't simply want to go through the pain, discomfort, everything that it takes to be an NFL offensive lineman, whenever that time frame hits, that's when you make your decision.
And it's misplaced blame. Okay, this didn't sneak up on Frank Ragnow. This is something the organization was aware of.
He discussed it in previous years.
When Brad Holmes talked about watering the garden, right? The idea of harvesting your crops, it doesn't happen overnight. You got to plant the seeds in advance to say, what do you mean? They drafted Tate Ratledge. He's starting. He looks good. They had to replace multiple offensive linemen from last year's team. You needed to be more than a year ahead. You can't plant seeds and then walk out to your garden the next day and go, where are my tomatoes? And it doesn't work that way.
And Tate may follow the same path that Frank followed, because Frank, his first year, was a guard. And then they moved him to center, and we had ourselves an all-pro center. Now, I'm not sitting here telling you that Tate Ratledge is going to be an all-pro center, but we know that they've been working him at center. It takes a little bit of time to learn that position. If he moves to center next year, it's going to be an upgrade over Graham Glasgow.
To me, the Ragnow thing is totally on Holmes. The player should have been in place.
Yep.
Hindsight's a fun thing to do at the draft, but a reasonable thing that could have been done was drafting Cam Jurgens instead of Josh Paschal. Paschal went 5 picks ahead of Jurgens.
Right.
Oh, the team that drafted Juergens, by the way, has Howie Roseman as their general manager and had Jason Kelsey in place at the time. The center that was competing with Ragnow for the best in the NFL.
And I'm not going to crucify Brad Holmes for every draft pick. Some work, some don't. He's had more hits, and he's been really good at the draft. Now, the ones that he's missed on are the ones that we're discussing right now because we could use an offensive lineman.
Yeah, but Cam Juergens was thought of to be a pretty sure thing in the NFL, and you're taking a guy who had a history with cancer. You know, these darts that he threw at Onwuzurike and the back issues, the Manu, you're paying the price for that right now. The other GM you're competing with saw trouble coming, and he watered that garden way in advance. Yep. And Juergens was at guard and then went to center.
Let's get to Heather with the news.
Well, if you're a gamer or you have one in the family, this could be the perfect opportunity to get a good Christmas gift. GameStop is holding this special Trade Anything event where customers can receive store credit to buy video games or gaming consoles or whatever accessory you need when they trade in any physical item. So it's going to be on December 6th. You have to go to a store. You can't, obviously, you got to bring in this item. You can basically trade whatever you want. There is some rules, of course. It has to fit into a 20 by 20 by 20 inch box. And then there's a list of things it can't be. And most of it makes sense, right? It can't be hazardous waste. You can't have lithium ion batteries. You can't bring in weapons. You can't bring in a dead animal or a live animal. You can't bring in anything sexual or explicit. You can't bring in anything that resembles a body part. There's a list of things, but it makes sense when you read the list. You can go online and make sure you're following the rules, and then you bring that in and you get store credit.
So no WNBA souvenirs?
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, you can bring it in, but they'll probably send you right back out. So kind of cool. Yeah. A fight involving several young patients at Havenwick Hospital in Auburn Hills had to be broken up by police over the weekend. On Saturday, police say they were able to separate the groups, calm everyone down. They say nobody was injured. There was some property damaged. They also say they're not sure what caused the fight, but did say charges will most likely not be sought.
Do we know what caused the fight?
No, they said they don't know, but I'm sure a young group of kids just arguing about something and a fight broke out. Meghan Trainor is receiving lots of hate for her recent weight loss. So if you follow her at all on social media, she's been documenting her fitness journey for quite a while after she gave birth to her second child. She's been open about using a weight loss drug, also strength training, working with a dietitian, lost a lot of weight, but she said she's been receiving an overwhelming amount of hate. And she did this interview with Entertainment Tonight where she said the negative feedback is just getting louder. Yeah, people love to hate, right?
Yes.
And on social media, that's what they do.
It's ridiculous.
They hate you for being too big. They hate you for being too thin. They hate you for doing this. They hate you for doing that. You can't please anybody. You can only please yourself. So, girl, go for it.
Yeah, good for her. Prioritize your health. Who cares what anybody else thinks? The only thing annoying about her right now is that State Farm commercial. I have to see every single ad break during the NFL.
Yeah, you see that commercial quite a bit.
But good for her. She's
I think
in
it's
great
kind of
shape.
funny.
Oh, I think the commercial, it is.
Yeah.
It's cute. It's a cute commercial.
Yeah.
But yeah, good for her.
good
That's
for
how
her.
I feel. Come on, ladies. Let's not tear each other down. Let's build each other up.
I think it's a bit of a miss when she has to specify that her name is Meghan Trainor. Get it? Get the pun?
Yeah.
Trainer?
I think people are upset because of her. It's all about the bass.
Where's the J-Mo laugh on that one? Come on.
That's why people are kind of going after her, I think, because of her previous songs. Finally, let's see. A flight headed from Dallas to Chicago had to make an emergency landing after a man on board claimed that his wife had a bomb in her luggage.
I know. What the heck is this?
I need to know more of the story. Like, did they get into an argument and he was like, dude,
Yeah, you got to get off the plane.
but I think it was him who got in trouble because he was ultimately arrested. But the flight had to stop in St. Louis. Everyone had to get off the plane. They brought in the bomb-sniffing dogs. Police searched the plane. And then it says after a 5.5 hour delay, Everyone made it to Chicago
Except
safely.
him.
Except him, because he was arrested. And who knows? Where did the wife go? Did she continue on to Chicago, or did she stay back with her husband? I would have went to Chicago.
Yes. Yeah.
That news is brought to you by Gardner White.
All right. Our conversation with Lions head coach Dan Campbell. Next, 97.1.
FanDuel's the #1 sportsbook for same-game parlays. From points and rebounds to threes and assists, FanDuel is the best place to combine your favorite picks into a same-game parlay or track every stat live, and you can do it all in one easy-to-use app. Right now is the perfect time to join because new customers get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. In case you missed it, that's new customers, and you're going to get $150 in bonus bets. All you got to do is win that first $5 bet. So bet on the players that you love and do it the way you want. Head to FanDuel.com/971 Detroit to sign up today. That's FanDuel.com/971 Detroit. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. You must be 21 or over and present in Michigan. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit is required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.